and Dawn to the Art of Letting Go Zoom room for another live session. So let's jump in to today's inspirational quote, related message. Today we're talking all about flow. Quote by Joseph Campbell on following your bliss, which you might be familiar with. We looked at it before, but never fails to inspire me. So that'll kick everything off. And then some teaching around that'll lead us nicely into today's workbook lesson, which is related to that. So we'll read and discuss the lesson and do a meditation on that. Okay, so let's dive in, shall we? I'll share my screen. If you can read the headline quote, Elaine, that would be great. Is that big enough? Can you see that?
Yes, that's fine. Follow your bliss. If you do follow your bliss, you put yourself on a kind of track that has been there all the while, waiting for you. And the life you ought to be living is the one you are living. When you can see that, you begin to meet people who are in the field of your bliss, and they open the doors to you. I say, follow your bliss and don't be afraid, and doors will will open where you didn't know they were going to be. If you follow your bliss, doors will open for you that wouldn't have opened for anyone else.
Yeah, great quote by Joseph Campbell, who was an American professor of literature, who discovered and formulated what he called the hero's journey, based on his studies of many seemingly different cultures, religions, philosophies, spiritual traditions. He was a great researcher, so he read extensive, and he started to see a pattern in all of these, that really there was only really one story that was being told, and that was the story of awakening to your true self. That was the hero's journey, as he termed it. So he used following your bliss as a term to refer to an inspired purpose that activates a flow of joyful energy, and what psychotherapist Carl Jung called synchronicities in the hero's life, which another more recent psychologist named Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi also called flow. Yeshe refers to as miracles in A Course in Miracles. So it doesn't really matter what you call them, synchronicities, flow, miracles, it's the same thing. The words are just pointers to the same thing. So whatever you call it, Campbell found that there was one universal story, or as he called it, the monomyth of human life, which every philosophy, religion, and spiritual path shares. This monomyth is the story of the hero's journey that the heroes or heroines of the stories in these various traditions choose to undertake in order to discover who they really are, despite the obstacles, trials, temptations, and challenges presented by the ego, which, remember, in our alternative language is the belief in separation and their separate self-concept that is a necessary consequence of this belief. So it's really the journey of facing your own demons and overcoming them. And the people who do that are the heroes of this world. And all the great mythic stories tell these stories of these great heroes who face, the story is always the same. They face difficulties and obstacles and they overcome them. So what he noticed was that this monomyth story inevitably includes the same common elements, allowing him to formulate this into an archetypal hero's journey consisting of three main stages: departure from the familiar world. So there's a leaving, a departure into a new world, an initiation into the new world, and then return to the familiar world. Once you've been through this process, there's a return back into society, the familiar world, but now you know it for the first time. As T.S. Eliot said, the end of all our exploring shall be to arrive at the place we left, but to know it for the first time. I'm paraphrasing, but really talking about the hero's journey as well. So you go through from a call to adventure, you get guidance and supernatural aid. You have to overcome what's called threshold guardians. So these are the doubters, the naysayers, blocks, obstacles. It might be, financial obstacles. It might be a person in your life saying, oh, this isn't going to work. You're never going to make it. Don't do that. And that's common. There's always a threshold. But once you decide to cross the threshold, then that's the beginning of your transformation. And now you move into the initiation phase, where you're having to learn these lessons, and you learn most effectively through challenges and temptations. So when you get the challenges and the trials and the difficulties and the temptations, then your own inner guide, what the Course calls the Holy Spirit, as well as sometimes this takes the form of external guides and mentors, whether they're human or non-human. So people turn to spirit guides and angels and so on. Whatever it is, if it's helping you, then it's a mentor or a helper on the path. And often at critical junctures in our journeys, we get this guidance when we most need it. And that's a common theme in all the hero's journey stories that Joseph Campbell researched. Guidance comes, the help comes, often at the point of despair. Okay, it all appears to be lost, and then at that point, some miraculous guidance and help comes in, and the hero somehow manages to turn it around and find a way to overcome the challenges. He also talked about the abyss, the death of the ego. It isn't physical death, but it's a death of the separate self, we call the ego, and then a rebirth into the true self. So that process is transformation or at-one-ment. Interesting that he uses the term at-one-ment, and that's exactly what the Course calls it as well. Different spiritual tradition calling it atonement, or as we say, at-one-ment. It's the becoming one with who you really are, discovering who you really are as the one self, the one awareness we call God, the great I am presence. And once you know that, and you're able to sustain that awareness, then you return to the normal world. But now you have these gifts of higher awareness. In some of the traditions, they call it the gift of the goddess. So often you're more connected now with your feminine side, with intuition, with these typically more feminine qualities, hence gift of the goddess, which you can now bring back into the world, and you can be an agent for change in that world, because you know something that people stuck in the known world don't know. You've been into this unknown world, and you've journeyed deep into that, as Ralph Waldo Emerson says in one of his quotes: "Dive deep and swim far, and you shall come back with an advanced experience that shall explain and overlook the old." So we can come back into the known world, but we're no longer limited by it. So there's the archetypal hero's journey that Campbell wrote about in his classic book, The Hero with a Thousand Faces, published in 1949. Subsequent to that, Hollywood got hold of this. Script writers, movie directors, people like George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, got hold of this and went, wow, this is amazing. There's something really, really powerful here in terms of storytelling. So, let's start to create scripts and movies based on the hero's journey. And so, followed since 1950, these kinds of epic movies. Starting, the first one I can think of was the Star Wars, first Star Wars movie in 1979, created by George Lucas, who was actually a friend of Joseph Campbell and learned from him, and took these principles and built them into the scripting of Star Wars, which he wrote. Um, and then other similar epic blockbuster series have followed: The Matrix, Avatar, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter. These are all really describing the hero's journey and breaks it down into 12 stages. So um, the first act, which is departure from the known world, is broken into 5 stages. The ordinary world, so that's typically showing the hero as they currently are, often a little bit dissatisfied, a little bit bored, looking for a challenge. Then call to adventure comes, someone or something comes into change their circumstances. In Star Wars, Luke Skywalker didn't want to, he got a call to adventure from this old guy called Obi-Wan Kenobi. He was a Jedi Knight. He didn't know that. And he didn't want to go, but then the stormtroopers came and killed his foster parents and burned his home down. So he had no option. It was like, okay, well, I've got to go now. There's nothing for me here anymore. So he initially refused the call, but then he meets his mentor. In this case, it was Obi-Wan, and many other movies and journeys. It's a wise guide, counselor, a wise man. Sometimes it can be something supernatural, like an angel. In the Bible, that stories of angels appearing to men, giving them guidance. And then there's a point of no return where you cross the threshold, and the hero says, "Okay, I'm going to go for this. I've made a decision, and I'm not going to listen to the naysayers and the voices that tell me that stay in the normal world because it's safer and more secure. I'm going to go for this. I'm going to listen to the guidance." And then the second act, which is the adventure, or the initiation, starts, where there's various tests. There's allies, there's guides, helpers on the journey, but there's also enemies, apparent enemies who test you and bring up your worst fears and force you to confront them. If you think of the Matrix, Neo has to go and face Smith, who's an agent, designed to kill, yeah, he has to face the fear of death, and he does. He faces him down and says, "Okay, I'm not going to run away anymore. I'm going to face you, and I'm going to fight you, confront you." So this is approaching the inner cave. The ordeal is really that journey of facing our worst fears, our worst nightmare, and getting through it. And the growth that comes from that is phenomenal. So that's the death and the rebirth that's talked about here. And then you move into the starting to move into the third act, where you seize the reward, which is really your true self. You find your way back home. So there's this process of at-one-ment. You return change to the new world, to the familiar world, but now you are an awakened being. If you remember in Matrix, Neo's final the final scene is in the call box, and he's calling someone. In the second movie, it's revealed that was actually the architect of the whole Matrix, saying, "I'm not going to, tell you how this is going to end. I'm going to tell you how it's going to begin. I'm going to wake these people up to who they really are, and where we go from there, is a choice I leave to you." And then he literally takes off and flies. And so he's returned to the normal world that he was in, but now he's the awakened being. He's the avatar who's bringing this awakened awareness into the world and is able to awaken people. So Matrix, classic hero's journey. All of these movies, if you watch any of them, you see the hero's journey is very much at the core of it, and that's why they're blockbusters. People resonate with the hero's journey, because we're all on that hero's journey. So we like seeing stories of these heroes because it appeals to the part of ourselves that identifies ourselves as on that journey. So if you want to go a bit deeper, there's an excellent article on the 12 stages that I've given there. Practical Guide to Joseph Campbell's Hero's Journey, the Monomyth Stages. Welcome to read that. And then also there's a bonus ebook, which is actually the hero's, is Joseph Campbell's book, The Hero with 1,000 Faces. So there's an ebook. So if you really want to go into it, you can dive deeply into the book and read, go into detail. So those resources are there for you if you want them. But back to where we are, we're not going to look at that now. And then, in case you want sort of a more visual format of the hero's journey, the Finding Joe movie is a great movie featuring course teacher Alan Cohen, as well as people like Robin Sharma, Deepak Chopra, all teaching about the hero's journey, giving their life experiences, and then it's kind of a story that threads through it. Which, yeah, it's a low budget movie, but it's well worth watching because it's mainly the guidance, the information, and the wisdom that is shared by these teachers. So that brings us to today's live session and today's lesson. Just to pause quickly, any questions on any of that? Hero's journey, we've looked at it before, but if you look at it again, often some other ideas, other awareness comes up. So anything coming up for you? Any questions on it, or should we just dive into the lesson?
Yeah, dive into the lesson, but Dawn might have something.
No,
Yeah, Dawn,
I think
any questions?
I don't really have any questions. I think the lesson, like Elaine, but also when you were saying about those films, because you were saying it's like 1949 or something, I thought of, know, that film they usually put on at Christmas time in black and white. I usually like that. What's the one? Gosh, I've forgotten what it's called. It's got James Stewart in it, is it? And it's about he's the father of about 5 children, and he tries to kill himself. And then the angel. Do you know which one I'm talking about, Elaine? So it's an old black and white, really classic. They put it on a lot of the time at Christmas time.
I'll find it for you.
What do you think?
Classic.
Definitely the hero journey, that one. And I know it, but it's just gone out of my head. But yeah, that's the only thing I thought of. But other than that, yeah, lesson would be good.
Yeah. It's a Wonderful Life.
That's it. That's the one.
Wonderful Life.
It's a Wonderful Life. Because kind of same journey. And he was trying to kill himself at one point, and then the angel comes down and kind of helps him. It's a lovely film.
Yeah.
But it's a bit similar. And, he wanted to go off like his brother and do something, but he was held because his father had a banking business or something. So he took that over. And yeah, I think it's the hero's journey as well.
Yeah. So I'm not saying it didn't happen prior to 1949, but I think what happened was Hollywood is a bit more conscious of it. They were like, oh, okay. So now someone's actually brought this out to the fore, has written a book about it, has detailed it, and then they went, okay, we're onto something here. And if we can create blockbuster movies with a hero's journey embedded in it, we're onto a winning formula, which all of those movies have been incredibly successful.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I think I'm going to more of them, because as you were saying, I was like, oh, there's probably loads of them with that same storyline.
Yeah. I mean, there's loads of movies with the hero's journey embedded into them. So once you're aware of it, you go, oh, okay, there's the hero's journey. 1946. Yeah. December of that year has become a beloved classic in American cinema. So just prior to that, but what all that Joseph Campbell did was that he made it people aware of it.
Yeah.
Before they maybe were doing it, so that film was a hero's journey and was really successful, a classic, but maybe people weren't quite aware of what the formula was. What Joseph Campbell did is he said, okay, so this is actually the archetypal formula, and this has been going on for forever, throughout human history. We've seen this formula. all Joseph Campbell did was make it, bring it in more into awareness, and then Hollywood took hold of it and said, okay, well, if we flesh this out and we put this into a 12-step journey and we write a script according to this, we've got a formula for success.
Yeah.
As has been shown in the success of these movies. Star Wars, I think, is the second biggest franchise of all time. Avatar's the most first Avatar movie was the most highest grossing film of all time. The Matrix, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter. I mean, these are all billions and billions of dollars people have spent on watching these, renting these. Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, The Matrix, they all have like cult followings. Star Wars, they all have cult followings. People follow them and go to parties and conferences, and because people resonate. It's deeper than just the characters. They resonate with the underlying theme, and that's what Joseph Campbell brought to life and said, actually everyone is on a hero's journey, and we resonate with these heroes in these stories because it mirrors our own journey.
Yeah.
And when they succeed, we feel like, well, we've got a chance of succeeding as well, because they broke through into another level and they found a way out of their difficulties. So can we. So they inspire us, and that's why we can watch them over and over again. I've watched The Matrix. It is our film study in the art of letting go, so that's one of the reasons. But I've watched it maybe 20 times. It never fails to inspire me because it's this classic hero's journey. It's overcoming of all the difficulties and the obstacles, the triumph of the hero over the darkness and the fear and the anger of the ego, final triumph of love. Just in my view, it's probably the best movie of all time. Other people will dispute that. There are many great movies, but just because of how they've framed the story, it's a hero's journey as well as a profound social commentary on our world. It's a wake up call.
Well, don't get the dog. Don't let the dog out.
I'll just mute
Sorry.
you then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, let's dive into today's lesson, which is really about the function that you have. I have a function God would have me fill. This is the calling. This is what the hero listens to rather than the voices of the world. So yeah, let's dive into that. Just going to get another recording going. Okay, so lesson 192 we're on to. So I think take turns reading the original and then the alternative. So Dawn, if you want to read the original, just sentence by sentence. So read one sentence, then pause, and then Elaine can read the alternative sentence. Let's start with the actual lesson, and let's read it properly. So you read the main idea, Elaine read the alternative version of that.
Okay. I have a function. God will have me fill. I have a function, perfect loving. Awareness inspires me to fill. Right. Okay. That's adapted from A Course in Miracles workbook lesson 192. Okay.
Yeah. So that's function God would have me fill. We just change God to perfect loving awareness, and then it puts a different spin on it. Okay, so it's this perfect loving awareness that is within me, and that will inspire me to fill it. So God is not somewhere outside of me. God is my own perfect loving awareness that inspires me to fill this function.
Okay.
So let's explore that.
It is your Father's holy will that you complete himself, and that that yourself shall be his sacred son, forever pure as he, of love created and in love preserved, extending love, creating in its name, forever one with God and with yourself. Yet.
No, pause there. So Elaine's going to read the.
Oh, okay.
It's a version of that sentence. Yeah. Elaine, are you there? Not sure where Elaine is. Okay. You muted, Elaine, just in case you're unaware of that. Okay, I don't know what's happening there. So I'll just read the alternative. Is my source's pure formless awareness that I complete, and that myself shall be its sacred extension. Forever pure as it, of love extended and in love preserved, extending love in its name, forever one with pure formless awareness of perfect love and with myself. Okay, and number 2. You can read that, Tom, in the original.
Oh, in the original. Okay, hold on. Made it too big, sorry. Yet, what can such a function mean within a world of seeming envy, hatred, and attack?
Yeah, you read the alternative, but never mind. Wasn't much difference. All I did was put in seeming rather than a world of envy, because it seems to be that, envy, hatred, attack, but that's the illusion, that's the false appearance,
Okay.
which we've got to overcome. Okay, so if you can just read the alternative from the top, and then just any thoughts on that.
It is my source's pure formless awareness that I complete, and that myself shall be its sacred extension, forever pure as it, of love extended and in love preserved, extending love in its name, forever one with pure formless awareness of perfect love with my self.
So. And then, just the next sentence. What can such a function mean?
Yeah, what can such a function mean within a word of seeming envy, hatred, and attack?
Yeah, much indeed. Okay, so thoughts on that? Any thoughts, comments, questions on that?
I don't know. There's a lot there, isn't there?
Yeah, there is a lot there in just two sentences.
It's something that
so you're perfectly whole, complete, perfect, pure, and yet then he says, what can such a function mean within a world like this of seeming envy, hatred, and attack? How do you reconcile those two? Which is, the challenge. So then, that prepares us nicely for paragraph 2. Let's see if Elaine's. Anyway, Elaine, are you there? You're muted, by the way. Don't know what's happened to Elaine. Okay, we'll just crack on. So I'll read the original and you read the alternative.
Okay.
So therefore, you have a function in the world in its own terms. And you read the alternative version of that in the grey below.
Therefore, I have a function in the world in their own terms. It's the same, isn't it?
Yeah,
it,
except see, I personalize it. So the alternative personalize it. It says I have a, not you have a function.
oh, I have a function.
First person. Yeah. So much more like, okay, so this is speaking directly to me about myself. So if you read it, so therefore I have a function. So you're reading it about yourself.
Right.
Makes it more applicable.
Okay.
Well, who can understand a language far beyond his simple grasp?
Or who can understand a language far beyond their simple grasp?
Yeah, so you see what we also do is we take the masculine out.
Yeah.
Because you know, if you're using his or her, you exclude 50% of the human race, which isn't really a particularly good thing to do, particularly since women are actually generally more interested in spirituality. So the idea is just to say, you know, who can understand language far beyond their simple grasp as someone, you know, as a sort of neutral, and that's the way I've rewritten it so that it takes away the gender.
It becomes you thinking of yourself being part of it, whereas before you think of
Yeah.
overall.
Well, who can understand language far beyond his simple grasp? Well, if you're female, that might, you know, be a little bit difficult to relate to. I mean, you can sort of go, okay, he means her as well, but he uses the masculine.
Yeah.
Rather than the trying to neutralize it. So I try and make it gender neutral,
Okay.
his or her, which is also part of making it more, you know, universally applicable.
Mm.
All right. So forgiveness, number 3. Forgiveness represents your function here.
Okay. So number 3, letting go is my function here.
It is not God's creation, for it is the means by which untruth can be undone.
It is not perfect love's being, for it is the means by which untruth can be undone.
And who would pardon heaven?
And who could pardon the state of pure, formless awareness?
I'm going to change that to just pure formless awareness. Who could pardon pure formless awareness? Well, it's ridiculous. It needs no pardon. Yet on earth, you need the means to let illusions go. So,
Yet on earth, I need the means to let illusions go.
creation merely waits for your return to be acknowledged, not to be complete.
Pure formless awareness of perfect love merely waits for my return to be acknowledged, but not to be complete.
Okay, then just read it from the top in the alternative, kindly.
Okay. Therefore, I have a function in the world in its own terms, or who can what's going on? Hang on, my phone's a bit weird. Reach out. Disappeared. Can't make it bigger.
Okay. You want me to make it bigger? Because I can.
Yeah, it kind of went off. My phone sticks and it's a bit weird. Yeah, that's better.
So I'll just zoom in.
And move it across. So alternative, that's the one we were doing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Therefore, to move your thing.
There you go. It's a bit bigger. Okay.
Oh, good. Therefore, I have a function in the world in its own terms, for who can understand a language far beyond their simple grasp. Letting go is my function here. I'm just moving it across this. Understand a language far beyond their simple grasp. Letting go is my function here. It is not perfect love's being, for it is the means by which untruth can be undone. And come on, who could pardon pure formless awareness? Yet on earth, I need the means to let illusion go. Pure formlessness, awareness of perfect love, merely awaits for my return to be, just done it again, to be acknowledged, but not to be complete. What? Yeah.
Okay, any thoughts on that?
So how to function in the world in my own terms. So yeah, understanding the language far beyond the simple grasp.
Yeah, I'm just going to share this. Wait, this is what I want to share. This diagram in the Holy Trinity. So what he's talking about here is the different levels.
Okay.
That make up the Holy Trinity. So he's saying, you know, heaven doesn't need to be pardoned. Heaven is perfect, whole, complete. So this is what we call level 1 in the course. Absolute reality. At the level of an absolute perfect reality, whether you want to call that God or Father or heaven, truth, knowledge, the universe, revelation, oneness, being. We call it pure formless awareness of perfect love or perfect loving awareness, source, spirit, life, reality, essence, presence, the now, Brahma, Nirvana, Samadhi. These are Eastern terms. Doesn't really matter what you call it.
Yeah.
It's pure. It's complete. It's whole. There's nothing wrong with it. It's perfection. And so he's saying, well, that doesn't need forgiveness. That doesn't need you to do anything. That just is. The problem is you don't think that you are that. You know, we've disconnected ourselves from that. So now we think we're this separate self living in a body and time and space with all the stuff going on around us, all these experiences that seem to exist and happen in the physical universe of time and space. And that's where our ego lives, right? Our ego is constantly engaging, interacting, fearing, worrying, desiring, getting upset, attacking, and so on in this context, right? In this red box. So saying, well, so what can this pure awareness mean in this context of this world? And he's saying, well, to translate this pure awareness into this world, you need a mechanism, and he calls that mechanism forgiveness. That mechanism is also called letting go or correcting your perception. In the course, it's called true perception or Christ's vision. It's called miracles. Other paths, as we saw, call it flow. Alternative for forgiveness is letting go, surrender, acceptance, salvation, again a course term, atonement or at-one-ment, as we say, the last judgment, the second coming. These are all course terms. Enlightenment, that's a common one. Satori, rebirth, resurrection, awakening, grace, transformation, your intuition, your guidance, healing, and there are other names. I could go on. Probably fill the other side with similar list. But really, it's a process of applying this perfect oneness into the world in a way that is helpful. So you can now perceive all these experiences and all the things that are seemingly happening as sometimes challenging, difficult, awful, horrendous as they can be, and you perceive them now from this higher perspective, from the perspective of pure formless awareness of perfect love, which simply reminds you that none of these are real, right? That what you're seeing is a dream, it's an illusion, none of it really matters. and only the truth is true. Only level 1 is true. Everything that happens on level 2 is a lie.
Mm.
And that process of changing your mind about these circumstances and events that happen in this world is forgiveness or letting go. And so it's a process of shifting your mind from really being identified with the separate self and all of its drama to now being identified with a higher self, true self, higher awareness, the Son of God, as the Course calls it, or extension of perfect love, the Christ, the Buddha. Eastern teachings called the Buddha, the Atman, soul. Again, it doesn't really matter what you call it, but it's a higher version of you
Yeah.
that can now access this pure awareness, but can also perceive the world and make decisions and act accordingly. So we're really, really useful. Because if you didn't have this, how would you transform? How would you make the journey back from being completely identified with the ego back to pure formless awareness of perfect love? It would be a massive chasm. It would be no bridge to go home. So
Yeah.
forgiveness, letting go, is the bridge that takes you home. It allows you to take this pure awareness and translate it into terms that are meaningful in this world and that are very helpful in this world.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that way, you start learning that this higher awareness is actually the truth, that it's really useful. It's, in fact, the only thing that's going to work. And you start identifying more and more with it, which is the whole point of the journey. As you change your perception, you identify more and more with the true self. So in Christian terms, this is what we call the Holy Trinity. The Holy Spirit, or this memory of God, remembrance of perfect love, as we call it, slowly awakens you to the knowledge of your true self, or Christ. Right? So the Holy Spirit delivers you to Christ. And then from Christ, the true self, Yeshua says the final step's taken by God. So you don't have to worry about the step between this true self and pure formless awareness of perfect love, because that will happen of itself. It's just going to happen.
Yeah.
He doesn't train us to do that. He says, when you're ready, it will happen. Your mind just sort of merges back into this. The way I interpret it is just, God doesn't do anything because God isn't a being, but this awareness just, you go more and more into it until eventually everything just disappears into that, and you just merge your mind with that quite willingly and gladly, and you become one with this awareness, and every other awareness just melts away. It's not there anymore. But it's an important step to realize that you are the true self first, and you must correct your perceptions first. And so that's where the Holy Trinity comes in. It's an operating system for your life. It says you need to start changing your mind about the world and therefore about yourself. And you do that through forgiveness or letting go. And that's an essential part of the process of awakening to this ultimate realization of pure formless awareness of perfect love, of what you really are. That's not going to happen if you haven't practiced letting go. There hasn't been a letting go of the ego. You're never going to go back home to God, to pure formless awareness of perfect love, because you're still going to have this separate self interfering with your thoughts and your emotions. Okay, so does that make sense, Dawn? The reason I showed it is because the Holy Trinity is not a very well understood concept in Christian theology. In fact, it's probably one of the least best understood concepts. Even Christian theologians who write about this get it wrong. I've read various takes and I'm like, no, you're not really getting it. Because what they're trying to do is they're trying to make the Christ and the Holy Spirit into some kind of entities that are now equivalent to God. But apparently God is greater than them, but then they're all equal. And then they get horribly confused. It all becomes a bit of well, they're equal, but they're not quite equal because God, the Father, is clearly the greatest. But these other entities are kind of similar, if not quite there. And actually, they're not entities. They're just part of your own mind. They're aspects of your awareness that you need to uncover. That's, it's a much more helpful way of thinking of the Holy Spirit, Holy Trinity. And so they are illusions because they're not ultimately true. The only thing that's true is this pure awareness. but they are a very, very helpful illusions, very helpful tools in awakening. You kind of need these tools to make the journey. The bridge or the ladder from one part over the chasm to the other is essential while you're crossing the bridge. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to cross the chasm. Once you're on the other side, it's not necessary. You're not going back, so you don't need the bridge anymore. Then it becomes useless. But while you're crossing it, it's essential. You needed the bridge to cross over and identify with this pure formless awareness and become that again. And so this is what he's really teaching us in this lesson. Can you see that he's talking about these levels here?
Yeah.
I have a function in the world in its own terms. So what he's saying is this paragraph 1 is level 1. It's my source. It is your Father's holy will that you complete himself. Yourself shall be a sacred son, forever pure is he, of love created and love preserved. It's level 1. It's perfect. It's pure. It's holy. You need do nothing. Everything's hunky dory there. Then he says, but in a world of envy, hatred, and attack, how does this translate? And then he goes into level 2 in paragraph 2 and says, well, you have a function in the world in its own terms. So the terms of the world are perception and all the things and places and events and circumstances and situations, trauma, successes, failures, and all the experiences that happen in duality. That's the terms of the world. So you're going to have that experience because you're in the world. But now how do you perceive correctly? And so he takes us from level 1 to level 2 in 2 paragraphs. Once you understand what he's doing and the different levels he's playing at, the course becomes a lot easier and clearer. And the contradictions start. People go, but hang on, he's contradicting himself. But he's not. He's just saying, look, at this level, this is true. But at this level, you apparently, because you've created another reality, you apparently have something else going on. And so now you have to deal with that. And I have to show you how to deal with it. I have to teach you how to deal with it. Otherwise, I'm not helping you to find your way out of the dream, which is what the course is all about. It's a course in miracles, a course in changing your mind at this level, right? The miracles happen here. It's a change of mind. It's a miracle. It's a course in miracles because that's what he's training you to do. It's not a course in love or a course in truth or a course in pure awareness, because that's beyond what can be taught. You will realize that once you've learned how to let go, once you've learned how to systematically invite miracles into your life, then this will come. So it's a process. That's what he's really saying. All right. So just wanted to kind of frame that in some context for you. Let's go on to number 3 then. Let's just see if Elaine's around. Elaine, are you back with us, or have you just gone away permanently? I don't know what's happened. Really, maybe she's busy with Dave.
With the dog, you probably had to go and sort that out.
There was a problem with the dog.
Yeah, I think so.
Let's chill us. We'll carry on. So, you read the original. I'll read the alternative this time. So, creation cannot even be conceived of in the world.
Right. Creation cannot even be conceived of in the world. Hold on. 2. Where's it gone?
Yeah, I'm going to read the alternative for you. So being cannot even be conceived of in the world. So we translate creation to being.
Oh.
Creation is something that kind of suddenly wasn't there and then it's created. So I don't like that word particularly because it implies time. There was nothing and then creation brought it all into some kind of manifestation. But that's actually not the truth. We're talking about a pure awareness or being that's eternal, right? Eternal means there was never not there. It's never been created. It's always been there, you see. So that's the subtle change. That's why we translate it into alternative language. All right, so number 2, it has no meaning here. And then just read 3 as well, because 2 is very short.
Oh, sorry, it has no meaning here. Forgiveness is the closest it can come to earth.
has no meaning here. Let's say it has no meaning in the world. Letting go is the closest it can come to earth. Yeah. So letting go, maybe we can even change that. See, I'll edit this as we go. But if I can think of a better way to say it, then I do. So letting go brings it closest to earth. Yeah, so that's better. Letting go brings it closest to it. So this being is brought closest to earth through this process we call letting go or forgiveness. We start to recognize, access, experience this being more and more the more we let go. Okay, number 4, for being heaven born.
Oh, for being heaven born, it has no form at all.
For being from the state of pure formless awareness, it has no form at all, right? So heaven is pure formless awareness. Now it becomes very obvious that it has no form, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pure formless awareness doesn't have any form, otherwise it wouldn't be pure formless awareness. It's like obvious in the language. But it's not that obvious if you use a word like heaven, what it actually is. Okay, number 5.
Yet God created one who has the power to translate in form the wholly formless. Is that where it is?
Pure formless awareness of perfect love extends itself into my mind as the remembrance of perfect love that has the power to translate the holy formless into form. So let's go back to this diagram. You see, so this pure awareness now extends it into my mind via the true self that I am and allows me to perceive things differently because of this awareness. That's how translation happens. That change of mind, that change of perception is letting go. That's the miracle. And that's essential, because if we didn't have that mechanism, how would we ever get out of all of our egos, judgments, and so on? Well, the truth is we wouldn't. We'd just be stuck in them because there would be no mechanism to change our mind, to correct. And this is really what he's teaching us, is how to bring this awareness into our perceptions so that we see it differently. And instead of being caught up in all the drama and inevitable pain and suffering, we are able to let it go and find the clarity and the peace of mind that this brings, irrespective of what dramas are going on. That's forgiveness. That's letting go. So really, it's really, really simple. This isn't rocket science. It's just, to do it requires some discipline, some practice. It's something that, the world doesn't teach you to do. And no one's going to teach you this at school, even, university. Even if you study a philosophy degree, it's not primarily going to teach you to let go.
Don't know, some, not all, but I must admit, where I go to some of our spiritual practices teach you this. You have
but that's the place of religion. If religion is doing its job, it's supposed to be teaching you this, how to connect with God. So that's why I invented religion, because we need, an alternative way of thinking about the world.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, and you're correct in your. But I must admit that like when we were younger, we used to have to go to like all the different church, Catholic, this, that, the other. I didn't understand any of it. Didn't really relate. Couldn't, I don't know what the heck they were doing, but we just had to go. Then when I go now, where I go, and I want actually wanting to go there. Someone introduced me. I realized, over time, it's completely changed my life and the life of my children and how we are. It's not perfect, as nothing is. But when I look back and reflect the growth, So this, what you're teaching me, it's taught me that like there was points where I would never have forgiven certain things and you'd be in that other state. But now I feel I can do that, and it feels so much nicer when you can just say, you know what, they're at a different point. I'm learning at this, they're learning that. They've got different lives, they've got different understandings. You just have to let it go because it damages you. It's not really damaging them. So
Yeah.
I've learned through forgiveness, it actually makes you feel better.
Yeah.
Regardless, and you can't be thinking too hard about how they feel. You have to feel about this actually is good for me, this is helping me. And also it's the perception, because I realized that word kept coming up and I never used to use that before, but it's like they're perceiving something else. And sometimes in my head, like you say, the ego saying, oh, this. And I'm like, hang on, quiet that, because it might not even be that. You don't know what's going on in someone else's head. So just, I'll enjoy, let it go. So yeah, I'm enjoying what you're saying because I'm getting it, because I've learned to get some of this.
Yeah.
Actually,
Well, the very essence of the Christian teaching was forgiveness, but
yeah,
that has been obscured largely.
yeah,
Jesus taught this idea. Now it's become a concept. Yeah, we must forgive, and most Christians would say, yes, I know that Jesus taught forgiveness, but do they know how to do it? Do they know what it means? Do they
yeah.
practice it regularly, systematically? Do they apply it as just their default way of perceiving the world? Very seldom. There might be
No,
some,
they don't. They
but
don't. Most of us do
generally
not.
they don't.
No.
Because the religion has gone away from the essence of what it originally was. Jesus, taught people forgiveness as a way back to God,
Yeah,
and then all kinds of theologies come in, and now we've got in the Catholic Church, especially, this whole concept of guilt and original sin, and you've got to do penance for your sins and do your confession, and there's all this stuff that was this isn't what he taught. He
no. I
taught
think
forgiveness of sins. He taught
that
essentially to let go of sin. Really, what he was saying is that your sins are forgiven, i.e., there is no sin because
that's
you are sinless, you are innocent by nature, and you just have to realize that. When you realize that, then you're free, then you're awakened, then you're healed, and all of his healings. If you watch The Chosen, you see how he did his healings. He would say to people, to start with, your sins are forgiven you.
mm, mm,
And because he relieved that burden, and they believed he was the Messiah, they believed him. They
yeah,
felt this relief, and then a massive shift in mind, and then bang, suddenly the mind changes, the body changes. They didn't have this whole crazy medical model in their mind. We say, oh, I've got to go visit the doctor. The
yeah,
doctor said I can't do this, and I need my drugs and my pills to heal. They didn't believe all that. They just believed he was the Messiah, he was the Christ, and that he could heal them. And when he said it, that was good enough for them. And so they did, because, they believed it.
yeah.
And so you got all these miraculous healings. It wouldn't work today
I don't.
because we would go, oh, I've got to consult my doctor.
No, it does work today in some form. It,
Well,
it
if people can get into that truly, faithful state, then yes. But too often people are, their minds are cluttered with all this. Oh, but my doctor says this, and I've got to have so many pills, and
yeah,
there's a whole now so-called healing system created by the ego that most people buy into, and they don't realize that it's just a thought system that
yeah,
now takes form in the medical model, and the treatments that we have, most of which certainly for lifestyle diseases are very ineffective. They don't work. In
yeah,
fact, they cause more problems than they heal, because now you have all the side effects of the drugs,
yeah.
and so on. But anyway, we don't want to get into go down the rabbit hole of that.
No,
The point is to apply forgiveness in your daily life and
that's
live
right.
it
Yeah,
as a living, working philosophy of life, and a way of solving problems, a way of perceiving things correctly. And that's really what Jesus taught, which is actually really helpful, really practical, you can use that every single day, every moment of your life. Not some theory of forgiveness that, theoretically I should be doing this, but I'm not actually changing my mind about anything. That's not going to help you.
No, no, no. You have to believe it. If you don't believe, you can't conceive. So it's what you put in your brain, isn't it? And how, and also the things that he did, like our body is a temple, which should be. And if you put the right things in it, that illness and that concept, that having to go to the doctor, I rarely go to the doctor. And when I do, it might be for a slight check, but I actually don't, because it's like look after, maintain your temple, which is your body.
Yeah.
What you're maintaining, I don't really get that ill because I'm actually, it's in your mind sometimes. It's what, oh, I'm feeling a bit. No, well, actually, just think positively and look after it. I know I've just put some good fruits and some water in there. It seems very happy on those nutritions. I'm quite happy. You don't get ill. Oh, I know. I'm feeling, I need some exercise. That's what I need. So, yeah, like you say, forgiveness is the best thing, but not everybody will follow that, or they'll follow it to this bit and not that bit. But actually, if you truly do it properly, you'll feel the benefit. And it's not even for the other person, it's your benefit. Because I had people around me and they're like, oh, I'm going to retaliate. Why? Just leave it. What you worried? They want you to do that. If you actually just let it go, get on with your where you are, and it's almost like you say you're on a higher plane. Why are you going to go back down to that plane that makes you feel upset and unhappy? Stay on the higher plane. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's really all Jesus taught. It's very, very simple teaching, but to do it requires a profound shift in your mindset. This is a complete reversal of your ego's thought system, which is why people find it difficult. You have to let go of everything, all of those ideas, concepts, judgments,
Yeah.
all the perceptions that creates. Forgiveness says, well, none of that's really true, and in fact, that is just part of this ego that's damaging you, that's hurting you, that's going to ultimately kill you. So you need to let that go to free yourself, and then you're capable of freeing others. Jesus could only free others because he'd done the work himself, because
Yeah.
he understood very deeply these truths, and he practiced forgiveness himself, and let go of his own ego in the process. He could only teach people from how to do that because he'd done it.
Yeah.
So the only way we can teach people is by example. Okay, well, follow my example. I'm not going to preach to you. I'm just going to practice forgiveness, genuine radical forgiveness, and I'm going to show you how that looks, and you're going to see that this is a different way of living and operating, and that I am happier, more peaceful. That maybe miracles do happen. It's not that you won't have challenges, but there's always a way to get through those challenges.
Yeah, and because of your thinking. So I found that I actually, where I've been practicing this and going, no one's great, no one's perfect, but you actually can find that inner peace. And then I think my biggest challenge is when I've got to go into environments where they're making these judgments and because of your values and what you've built, it's really hard for them to say, oh, that person's and then they want you to sit with them and join in. And I'm saying, I'm sorry, I can't do that because actually I do know that person. I don't feel that way about them. And I'm actually quite happy and they're happy. And I'm not here to judge them because they've got a different life to me and I don't know, and they don't know my, but I'm happy. I'm not making but they want you to get into this like school ground, which then makes you feel very down because you've got to a higher plane and you're like, I don't want to go to your, I don't want to be making judgments about people. Can you not see them struggling themselves? Do you not feel that they're trying to learn and find their way? They've got stuff going on at home. They haven't told you. They'll tell me stuff, but you should be helping them, not So that's where I have a struggle, because then I spend time trying to get out of those environments sometimes because it's damaging to my psyche and my being, and even to theirs, so they want to get out of it as well. But yeah, no, it's lovely if you can sort of just forgive, and that's even seeing that. You just say, you know what, I'm still going to support you. I'm still going to try and help you because you're just at a different learning. And maybe if you'd experienced some of what I've experienced and learned that you can do forgiveness and you can let go, and that people are people. Like, we're all different. We're all going to learn from our mistakes, and we've got to make them. So what are you beating them up for? Just leave them. Let them learn from, So that, I think that's my biggest challenge. When I've had time and I'm just sort of at home or doing my thing, I just feel that peace and that happiness. And people keep saying to me, oh, you're so different when you're not. And I'm like, yeah, I know, because the environment that I was in has changed. But prior to that, when I wasn't like any one place with one person, I was running to different environments, and I just met the people. We all enjoyed it, got on, and I used to say, come on, let's get out of here, let's have fun. And it was all very light. But then then once you're being controlled and the system isn't great because people are making too many wrong judgments, it kind of affects you as well, because you're like, oh, do we really have to do that? I don't want to do that. I want to live and let live. So yeah, you can get there.
But that's a choice you always have. You can always make that choice. No one can force you to join in. No one can force you to think in a certain way and behave in a certain way. Even in the most imprisoning environments, let's say Viktor Frankl's experience in the concentration camp in World War II. So his body's imprisoned. You could be killed at any point. The Germans are keeping them in probably one of the most restrictive environments, controlled environments known to man, and yet he has the inner freedom to say, I don't have to believe that story. I don't have to think the thoughts they want me to think. I don't have to be depressed and feel like, this is the end. I can hold to an inner vision, which he did, that, there's a purpose to this. There's a higher purpose, and this is all a lesson. And out of this is going to be born this book that he wanted to write, called A Man's Search for Meaning. No, they couldn't take that from him, no matter how much they imprisoned his body. And no matter how much they did, whatever they did to him, even if they killed him, they couldn't take that from him. They couldn't force him to think in the same way as they did, and in the way that they wanted him to think. And that's the power that everyone has. No matter what is happening on the physical level, no one can control your thoughts.
That's true.
The ego tries to, via them. The ego can go, oh, this is terrible and it's depressing. And Viktor Frankl mentioned people would come in, young, fit men, and within 6 months they were dead because they just got so down and depressed. They didn't see there was any point in carry on living. And then, once they lost the will to live, the body followed suit and died. And that happened very quickly. What kept him going for over 3 years was this inner vision.
Yeah.
The Christ, the one self that refused to accept the thought system that was being demonstrated to him by the Nazis, and he said, no, there's another way. Perceiving this, and actually this is a lesson for me. I can overcome this, and I can ultimately get out of this. And and he saw that vision. He knew it wouldn't go on forever, but 3 years is a long time.
Yeah.
To have hope.
Yeah.
There's another guy called Jim Stockdale who did it for 6 years, like 7 years. He was in captivity in Vietnam. 7 years of being in this really pretty horrendous conditions, and having to stay strong, stay in the spirit, in faith, no matter what's happening on the physical level. I mean, those guys, just, those are heroes, right? They're the heroes of the heroes' journeys. To go through that kind of experience, come out the other side, and then inevitably they can inspire people because they've been through these incredibly difficult journeys, and they've found the faith and the courage to carry on. That's what the heroes do.
It's definitely about your belief and what you look. Nelson Mandela, all these people, but you can do it. But it's about your belief and your belief system and the strength that you build from, and especially I think if you know something isn't right, sometimes you're just not, over your belief and your strength will just, you won't make that shift. I think some people find it difficult that they try to make you make that shift. I know I have that issue sometimes, but I was like, no, this is me. I'm not going to treat people badly. I'm not going to do what you want me to do because that isn't me. So you just need to get used to that. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen. Even though you're draining my energy, keep going on about the same thing, but you haven't seen me do it yet, and you're not going to see me do it. So, yeah, you can.
And, that's the strength. That's called character. You can do that. You can resist the thinking of the world and stay true to these higher principles. That's character. That's if people do that consistently in their lives, and they make an impact on the world, like say you mentioned Nelson Mandela, Yeshua. There's been other great people throughout history. Then we call them great men and women. So that it's a great life because they held to these principles in usually the face of some serious adversity. It wasn't easy to hold to this principle. Very, very easy to just go, well, I'll just collapse. I'll give in to the ego. I won't stay strong. But the people who do are the ones we look up to and say, okay, they held to a higher thought system. They let go of the world's thinking and they found another way, even in the madness of the world. And so they can inspire us to do the same thing. Yeshua being chief among them, the reason why he is the Christ and why he's inspired literally billions of people is because he did that to such an extreme extent. In his time, it wasn't a pretty world at all. It was a lot of sickness, a lot of suffering, a lot of death. It was pretty brutal world. As we saw the way he died, crucified, is a pretty brutal way to die, and yet he still forgives.
That's right.
He did all of that. He still practices this forgiveness that he taught his whole life. There's the teaching in the most extreme situation. He still forgave and he still held to the truth, which is why we follow him as a teacher.
Definitely on the higher plane because someone's and you're like, forgive them, forgive them.
Yeah, you're on the cross. Literally, you're drowning in your own body fluids. You must be. I mean, incredible pain. We can't even imagine the pain that would have entailed. And yet he still has the presence of mind to say, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." Arguably the greatest sentence ever uttered by anyone, given the context of it. Not just what an awareness to say that. That was kind of his most powerful teaching because you're not just saying this and you're all right and you just preaching and because he did all that for 3 years. Now you're on the verge of death. You've been brutally treated, or really pretty unfairly. He hadn't done anything wrong particularly. It was just that his enemies wanted to get rid of him. This absolutely brutal way to die, and yet you can still say that is that's what brought his teaching into a world teaching. That's what people said, okay, we've got to listen to this guy because I mean, what an example, what an inspiration. And then of course completed by the resurrection. It's like, okay, so he can actually overcome death as well, just to show that death isn't real. Okay, it's on another level. This is clearly a person who's come to show us the truth.
The more you understand it, the more we are capable of the same things, and he just came to show us the way to be able to get back, because everything he did, he's saying this is what we can do. We can.
He even said that. He says, you'll do these things that I've done and even greater things. He said that. So it's in scripture.
Yeah.
So people who say, oh, that's blasphemy that you could ever be like Jesus. I mean, that's just not true. That's not blasphemy. It's in the scripture. It's what he said.
That's why
How can you call it blasphemy?
I've actually experienced being healed by someone. And so I know, like, we are capable of the thing. He came to show us what we can do, what we do with our bodies, what we got.
Yeah.
We are from that
Exactly.
family. We are
And
part of that.
to inspire us
Yeah.
to do those things.
Yeah.
Not to worship him and go, oh, Jesus, you're so amazing and we could never be like you and you're like a god. No, to inspire us, say you could be like me. In fact, that's in fact what I want you to become.
That's right.
Is like me, even more powerful than me, because that is God's will. That is that is what this limitless awareness within you wants. So want you to be the fullest expression of who you really are in the world, as he lived and demonstrated. Say, look, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. The only way to the Father is through me. Meant follow my example.
Exactly.
Not worship me, but follow my example. I'm the way shower. I'm the leader. I'm the example that you can follow, and then you will become like me.
Yeah.
Not worship me. And that's where it started going wrong, because people put him on a pedestal and they worshipped him and said, he's so superior and he's amazing and he's the only son of God and no one can ever be like this.
We have the same abilities, but we
don't
don't
the same power.
We use what we have, and we don't believe we have them. So it's all. So that's what I believe anyway. As I've gone on more and more and started to understand it more, and I've seen things as well that I like. Oh, right, it starts to make sense.
Yeah. Exactly. So start connecting the dots, and then it becomes a living truth. He talks about the living truth, the living God. It becomes living, not just some concept distant in books. As he criticized the Pharisees and the Sadducees for it. He said, you guys don't really get it. You study these books and you study the Torah, but you have no idea really of what God is. You don't live it. You don't practice it. And obviously they didn't like that, because what he was saying was true. They didn't really get it. They didn't really understand, and he did. And so he made them look a bit shallow and superficial and stupid. And of course, no one likes that. Ego hates that. So then, well, we've got to get rid of him, right? Shoot the messenger, because we don't want to listen to his message, which is what happened. But then that was also part of the plan. That was his forgiveness lesson. That was his his final forgiveness lesson on earth, which he learned and taught us, and said, even when the worst possible thing happens to you, it doesn't really get much worse than the crucifixion, does it? I mean, that's like 10 out of 10 is just about the worst thing that can possibly happen to you in this world. You could be crucified and drown in your own body fluids in a public way. It wasn't just private. It was like, this is public. Everyone's seeing this happen to you. Doesn't really get much worse than that. Okay, so he's done pretty much, he's had the worst ordeal that any human being can face, and he's still forgiven. Well, if that doesn't inspire you to forgive yourself, your minor grievances, then what will? Right? He's saying, well, if I can do it in this extreme situation, what's your excuse? Why can't you do it? When it's just your spouse that's said something unkind, or someone's stolen money from you, or whatever's happened, someone's died. People have traumas and difficulties all the time, but it doesn't really get much worse than the crucifixion. So he's taken it to the max and then shown us, look, if I can do it, so can you. And he's then earned the right to be our teacher. Then I go, okay, I'll follow you. If you can do that, then I'll follow you. You had some amazing awareness there that that I can learn from. Okay, so let's get back to where we were. Really, interesting conversation, but we do have a lesson to get through. Let's read. I think we were at. Yeah, it is no form at all. So number 5. Yeah, so I think we did number 5. Number 6. What he makes are dreams, but of a kind so close to waking that the light of day already shines in them, and eyes already opening behold the joyful sights their offerings contain. And then the teaching as forgiveness as a function is so lofty it parallels creation in heaven. Okay, so number 6, if you want to read that.
What? Oh. Well, it makes our dreams, but of a kind so close to waking that the awareness of truth already shines in them, and my emerging spiritual vision perceives the joyful sight their offerings contain.
So we're still dreaming, but it's a happy dream. It's not a nightmare anymore.
Mm.
It's a happy dream. We seeing joy come into the dream. We're experiencing happiness and peace and joy, and that's a necessary transition. You can't go straight from a nightmare to heaven. It's you need to have a happy dream here first, and that's what he's trying to teach us how to do. So
Line
this
by
is
precept by precept always makes me think of those things, because it is a little here and there, a little, and then you start awakening. Like you say, you don't go from this to that. It's
it's a process. It's a journey, and very rarely, occasionally, someone goes whoop, and they just kind of go into a bliss state, nirvana. Occasionally that does happen, but usually they won't stay there. They will come back down, and then they're back in the ego, and they're trying to figure this out, and they've got to kind of integrate that and learn from it. And so it's very unusual that someone just gets it and then stays there.
Yeah.
I can name one that I know of for sure. It was a guy called Ramana Maharshi. He was an Indian sage who kind of woke up at 16 and just sort of stayed there the rest of his life. That was sort of a permanent awakening. But it's very, very, very rare. He was probably already almost enlightened. He'd probably been some master in his previous life, guru, master, whatever, and he'd come back and he had one more lesson to learn. He learned that early in his life, and then it was like, okay, I'm kind of done. And he spent most of the rest of his life in samadhi, long periods of meditation. So that can happen, but it's very rare. And in fact, Jesus says in the Course, look, this is so unusual and so rare that let's not even consider it a realistic possibility. So let's not even go there and talk about it. Rather focus on what is very practical and realistic and possible for you, which is to change your perception of situations and events and circumstances as they arise. That's very doable. In fact, you must do that to have any chance of being peaceful and happy in this world. And that is part of your process then of awakening. And it's a journey. It's a lifelong journey. Much more helpful framework. And then, he's created a course that teaches us how to do that. So we can learn this in baby steps. We don't have to get it all at once. There's a lesson every day. We can practice. We're going to make mistakes. He knows that, but he's like, it's fine. You make a mistake. Just get back on the horse. You've fallen off, get back on and carry on. And, try again next time. Try practicing forgiveness better the next time. So it's a very helpful, practical teaching, actually. You have the high metaphysics, but 99% of it is directed towards teaching you how to let go in this world and be able to live in this world, but not be of the world. Be in the world, but not of the world.
Yeah, exactly.
As that goes. Which is why the course, and particularly the workbook, is so helpful, because it's designed to help you to actually live this, and become a very, very helpful, practical philosophy and teaching, and a way of living in the world that then you don't have all the dramas, you don't have all the pain and the suffering. You have a dream, you're still dreaming, but you realize you're dreaming, and it's a joyful, happy dream. He calls it the happy dream. That's what he's training us to do.
Yeah.
Okay, so sort of fixed it. Needs to be darker. All right, so let's go on to number 4 then, shall we? So if you want to read the original, I'll read the alternative, or I don't mind, whichever you prefer reading. Reading
It's fine. Hold on. Yeah, here we go. Forgiveness gently looks upon all things unknown in heaven, sees them disappear and leaves the world a clean and unmarked state on which the world of God can now replace the seamless symbol written there before.
Yeah, the senseless soul. So I'll read an alternative. So letting go gently perceives all things unknown in the state of pure formless awareness disappear. I'm going to change it to everything. I think that will be cleaner. Everything unknown in the state of pure formless awareness disappear and leaves the world a clean and unmarked slate on which the message of perfect love can now replace the senseless symbols projected onto it before. Okay, so what we've done is we projected all of this garbage in our own minds on to the world, and we now see it outside of us, which is how the ego perpetuates itself, because it says, no, it's not in you, it's outside of you. So the pain, the suffering, the sickness, the death is not in you, it's outside of you, and you see it all around you, and now you feel oppressed by it and threatened by it, but actually it's in your own mind. Okay, so forgiveness then is the means. Do you want to read number 2?
Right, let me go up here. Forgiveness is the means by which the fear of death is overcome, because it holds no fierce attraction now, and guilt is gone. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so letting go is the means by which the fear of death is overcome, because it holds no fierce attraction now, and guilt is gone. So he's talking about actually death has an attraction, right? If ever you've thought, we've all had these thoughts, I can't stand this place anymore, I just want to be out of here. You know, wouldn't it be easy if I just committed suicide? Almost everyone, if they're honest, has probably thought that at some point if they've lived long enough. But the fierce attraction of that is gone because there's no guilt. You go, well, you know, that death isn't going to solve anything. Actually, I'm just free, clear, I'm guiltless, I'm innocent right now. So I don't need to die to end my suffering. I'm okay as I am now. So what's the problem? What's the drama? Right? So this is what he's talking about, the power of forgiveness or letting go, as we call it. Yeah, then number 3, forgiveness lets the body.
Oh, do you want me to do that? Forgiveness.
Yeah, number 3, yeah.
Forgiveness lets the body be perceived as what it is, a simple teaching aid to be laid by when learning is complete. Oh, okay. But hardly changing him who learns at all. Really? I need to read that again. Hang on. Forgiveness lets the body be perceived as what it is, a simple teaching aid to be laid by when learning is complete, but hardly changing him who learns at all. Oh.
Yeah, so I'll read an alternative that might give you another take on it. Letting go allows me to perceive the body as what it really is. A simple teaching aid to be discarded when learning is complete, but hardly changing my mind at all. So it's just a teaching aid. It's a learning aid. You're here to learn, and you learn in and through the experiences you have in the body.
Yeah, I get that bit.
When you've learned all your lessons, you don't need the teaching aid anymore, right? You've graduated. So you leave school, you leave college, university. You don't need the teaching aids anymore because you've graduated.
Yeah, but you've got spiritual. So you're still kind of there, but in a different form.
Could you say that again? I missed a bit of that.
Because I'm thinking we're built up of many things and we have a spiritual side. So you still, even if the body's there and the carcass is there, you still got your spiritual that still kind of lives on, that or
Yeah, exactly. It's just a teaching aid, so it's not who you are.
no.
And when it's discarded, then the spirit remains. You're an eternal being.
Mm.
If you realize that, then it's no drama. I like to think of the body as like a car. You drive a
Yeah.
car, and the car's useful, it gets you from A to B.
Mm.
Really useful to get around and do what it's supposed to do. And you can enjoy driving the car, but it gets you from A to B. It gets you to be able to do the journey. And but you're not your car. Some people believe they're their cars. That's very delusional, but you're not. How can you be the vehicle you're driving? You're the driver. When you step out of the car, the vehicle's there, but you clearly are not the car. You're separate from it. You're the driver. Without you, the car is pointless. The car has no function. The car has no purpose. So the driver in this case is your mind or your soul,
Mm.
that inhabits the body, that learns, that uses the body to go on its hero's journey, to get from A to B, and then once it's learned the lesson, can go, okay, well, I don't need the car anymore, right?
Mm.
I've got to my destination. If my destination is eternal and I'm never leaving, the car has no function, right? I don't need to travel anywhere anymore, so I don't need a car anymore, so I can happily just let that go. That's kind of what he's saying here. I'm just
Yeah.
using an analogy to sort of
Use it
explain it
more in
in
my
terms.
thoughts. I'd say your car will be my temple, so your body is your temple, and then obviously you're here on the mission, and you'll be learning.
Yeah, and it makes sense, to go back to the car analogy, it makes sense to look after your car.
Yeah.
If you don't look after it, it's not going to perform very well, is it? I mean, we all know if you don't put water and oil, and if it doesn't have fuel, obviously it's not going to go anywhere, but all these other things are necessary as well, and it needs a service, and it needs maintenance, and needs all that stuff to go well and to serve you well. If you don't do that and you neglect it, it's going to give you problems.
Yeah.
We kind of all know that. Almost everyone knows that. I mean, there probably still are people who neglect their cars, but most people go, okay, yeah, I know I need to look after my car, and yet their bodies, they don't treat the same way.
Mm.
Hang on, I can just treat my body any old way and
Oh,
use
because
it
it's
and abuse it,
supposed to look
and
up.
expect it still to go. Well, obviously, for a time maybe it can do that, just like a car can perform for a time, but eventually it's going to break down, which is often what happens if people do the systematic.
Like your car, if you look after it really well, it'll serve you well. So it's very similar. If you put wrong alcohol, smoke it, all these things in it, well, of course, it's going to run out.
Yeah.
Put things in it.
Yeah.
Put the right filling. And
exactly like a car. If you put the wrong fuel in, or you put a whole lot of sugar in the tank, it's not going to do well. It's going to seize up. It's going to be a big problem.
Yeah.
But we think that our bodies we can treat differently. So with that attitude, I'm not my body, and I overly identify with it, but I do need to treat it with respect and with kindness and love, because it's going to serve me then, and then then I'll be able to learn my lessons better, and more. It's a worthy carrier for my spirit. Having a sick body, well, I guess that's a lesson in itself. But having a sick body isn't the will of God. Isn't what your true awareness wills for you. It wants you to have a healthy body and an expanded, joyful, happy experience of life, not a miserable, sick one.
Yeah. So you got the gift, so you look after the gift, and if you run and you look after the gift, you won't be weary. And if you go by, well, we have something called the word of wisdom, and you eat and you look after what you're eating and what you're drinking and what exercise you do, then obviously it's going to last you much longer, and you're going to be able to do a lot more than the ordinary folk that
you would think, wouldn't you? I mean, it's obvious. And yet, how many people live in a way that they respect their body as their temple? Not that many. Very few. Most people are putting toxins into their body daily, whether it's food, drink, drinking the wrong things, whether it's alcohol or all these, fizzy drinks, sugary fizzy drinks, energy drinks, ultra processed foods, and so on and so on, and drugs and alcohol and, all toxins. Well, what do you expect? The body is going to struggle to deal with all that. It's pretty resilient, but over time, it's going to, not have the capacity to deal with it anymore. And that's when you start getting sick, and that's when you age premature and so on. If you just treat it right, like a vehicle, if you really maintain a vehicle well, it could still be serving you 30, 40, 50 years later. You could still be driving it, and because you've treated it well and you've serviced it, and it hasn't degraded in the same way as a vehicle that wasn't treated well. And occasionally you see these really, old, like an old Merc, or sometimes you see the old Beetles.
Exactly.
And, they've really been cared for and they're still going. And then, these old Mercs from the 70s are still driving, and they've done like 500,000 kilometers because someone has really looked after them, and, they're still functional. So same idea. Okay, so let's, I'll read the alternative just to wrap it up. So letting go gently perceives everything unknown in the state of pure formless awareness disappear, and leaves the world a clean and unmarked slate on which the message of perfect love can now replace the senseless symbols projected onto it before. So he's saying, just cleans the slate, it clears your mind, and you stop all of these mad projections onto the world and blaming the world for what's actually in your mind. Letting go is the means by which the fear of death is overcome, because it holds no fierce attraction now, and guilt is gone. Letting go allows me to perceive the world as what it really is, a simple teaching aid to be discarded when learning is complete, but hardly changing my mind at all. So body is just a vehicle. I treat it well and with respect, but I don't believe it's me. So when it's time to let the body go, you do that joyfully. It's like, oh, great, I've learned my lessons. The body served me well, and I'm really happy to let it go and just return my mind to its true state, which is pure formless awareness without a body. A body is not necessary in that state. And that's what happens if you're awakened, you're enlightened. Death is just a natural letting go. There's no problem with it. There's no drama. Ramana Maharshi, the guy I mentioned before, he's dying of cancer, and his followers are, oh, Master, I'm really sad you're going away. And he says, I looked at them like, have you learned nothing from what I've taught you all these years? I'm not a body, so I'm not really going anywhere. My body isn't who I am, so I'm just letting go of the body, which was never me, and I'm going back into my true, formless state as pure mind. But I will remain there forever. I have an eternal awareness, eternal life there. So why are you being sad? Why, it's just being ridiculous that you have this attachment to my physical form. But obviously, people do get attached to physical form. I mean, oh, well, I'm going to miss you, and because they identify the physical form as the person, and they think that then is real, and when the person dies, they're no longer there, and then there's a hole in their existence, and they get sad. And none of it needs to happen if you just understand this perception of the body. He's teaching us here. Okay, so happy to go on, Dawn. Number 5, the mind without the, I'll read the original this time, you read the alternative. The mind without the body cannot make mistakes.
The mind without the body cannot make mistakes.
It cannot think that it will die, nor be the prey of merciless attack.
It cannot think that it will die, nor be the prey of merciless attack.
Anger becomes impossible, and where is terror then?
Anger becomes impossible, and where is terror then?
What fears could still assail those who've lost the source of all attack, the core of anguish, and the seat of fear?
What fears can still attack those who have lost the source of all attack, the core of anguish, and the seat of fear?
Only forgiveness can relieve the mind of thinking that the body is its home.
Wrong minute. Only letting go can relieve the mind of thinking that the
body is its home.
Is its home, sorry.
Only forgiveness can restore the peace that God intended for his Holy Son.
Is that number 7? Only letting go can persuade.
6.
Yeah. Oh, 6. Only letting go can restore the peace that perfect love intends for its innocent extension.
Only forgiveness can persuade the Son to look again upon his holiness.
Right. Only letting go can persuade the extension to look again on its innocence.
Okay, and then just read the alternative from the top.
Hold on.
So from the mind without the body.
Oh, from the mind.
Yeah, the mind without the body cannot make mistakes.
Yeah, it's just not scrolling up.
Okay. It should just be on your screen because it's what I'm sharing.
Yeah, but it's not. Oh, it's at the. It's not letting me scroll it, so I can't.
Okay, I'll read it. So the mind without the body cannot make mistakes. It cannot think that it will die nor be the prey of merciless attack. Anger becomes impossible, and where is terror then? What fears can still attack those who have lost the source of all attack, the core of anguish and the seat of fear? Only letting go can relieve the mind of thinking that the body is its home. Only letting go can restore the peace that perfect love intends for its innocent extension. Only letting go can persuade the extension to look again on its innocence. Okay, so what is he really saying there in summary? Just in a couple of sentences.
Only letting go can restore the peace that perfect love intends. So you need to let everything go to restore the peace. Only letting go can persuade the extension to look again on it.
You need to kind of die before you die. You know, you've heard that saying before. You die before you die. And that's letting go of your attachment to the body before the body dies. So when the body finally dies, it's really not a problem. You've already let it go. There's no attachment left to the body. That's the enlightened state. That's awakening. When there's no attachment to the body anymore, there's no identification with it. So when the body's ready to go, you just let it go. You just lay it down. In the Star Wars movies, remember the Jedis would just disappear. I just had this like, okay, well, I'm ready to go, so I'll just poof pop, my body just disappears and I'm no longer here. You know, which in Christian terms it would be called ascension. It's like, okay, I'm ready just to let it go and drop the physical form, and it just disappears. It's no longer needed. That is pretty rare in this world, but that would be called ascension. It's like, well, the physical body just disappeared because it's no longer needed. In most cases, you know, most people die and the body remains as you know, a form, and it gets cremated or buried, but the spirit is no longer in it, right? The body's just this lifeless piece of meat. It's no longer inhabited by the life essence that gave it life. So the body wasn't alive without the life essence, which shows you that, you know, people who try and make the body real and the body more important than the mind and spirit are confused, because what gives it its essence? You know, when someone dies, the essence leaves the body, and even if the body was young and fit and healthy, without that essence, it dies, right? There's an animating presence that keeps the body alive, and that is our true awareness. When that decides to leave the body just is discarded and it dies. So the very essence of life is the spirit. It's the pure awareness, the spirit, the mind, whatever you want to call it, that is beyond the body. And that's what he's trying to teach us here. So yeah, let's just we use these are slides that Elaine's sent me, which just bring the, often they're illustrated as well. So maybe just read through that as a summary of this, and then we'll go on to the next section.
Oh, the mind without the body cannot make mistakes. According to the lesson, the source of anger is the unconscious belief that the body is the mind's home. Oh, okay. This belief has a number of implications. The mind thinks it will die. It thinks it will be prey to merciless attack. This arouses anger in the mind. Anger calls for retaliation from others and generates terror in the mind. Okay. The unconscious belief that the body is the mind's home is source of all attack, the core of anguish, and the seat of fear. What is the role of forgiveness to all this? Only forgiveness can relieve the mind of thinking that the body is its home. Only forgiveness can restore the peace and God intended for his holy Son. Only forgiveness can persuade the Son to look again upon the holiness, sources of anger. The unconscious.
Yeah, and then it goes into these sources of we need to let go of. Right? Forgiveness is the counter to anger and fear and hatred and attack thoughts. So yeah, just read those. What are some of the sources of anger according to the Course?
The unconscious belief that the body is the mind's home. Respond with anger. You must be equating yourself with the destructible and are therefore regarding yourself insanely. CE? Don't know what that is.
Yeah, you don't have to do that. That's just a reference to the text. So this is from the text of the Course in Miracles. It's a CE is another version of the Course.
Projection of sinfulness. Anger without projection is impossible. The ego uses projection only to distort your perception of both yourself and your brothers. Judgment. Anger must come from judgment. Judgment is the weapon I would use against myself. Keep the miracle away from me. Okay.
So, he's highlighting where anger comes from. We identify with the body. We think we are a body, so therefore we think we can be threatened. We think we can be attacked. We think we're vulnerable. Or we think we can be unfairly treated. We think the body's pains and sickness and suffering and death are real. We then project, when we've been unfairly treated as a body, we project that onto others. So we go, well, it's not my fault, it's your fault. You're the problem. And so I project all that sense of sinfulness onto someone else.
Okay.
And now they become the sinful, guilty one. I'm off the hook because I'm no longer guilty. They're the guilty one. and God's going to punish them rather than me.
Ooh.
That's what blame and anger are all about. It's about offloading the guilt onto someone else. Judgment is very similar. So when I judge someone, I say, "You've really done this to me. How dare you? You know, this is terrible. That's appalling. It's awful. You're so bad. You're so sinful." That's judgment, right? And
Mm.
then apparently I get angry. My anger is justified by my judgment
Okay.
because apparently this has happened, and so now my anger is fully justified because my judgment tells me that this is outrageous and how dare this person do this and it's so unfair. And then judgment is the weapon that justifies anger that I would use against myself to keep the miracle away from me.
Oh,
So
wow.
now I'm up in judgment and anger rather than the miracle, which is what comes from forgiveness, comes from letting all this go.
Mm. It's made me think a little bit, those things. Maybe I'll look at that again. Because I was thinking, although I was saying to you, oh, sorry, sometimes I've had this where they want me to be in the girl gang, and actually they don't like that particular person. So they all get together in a group, like when you were at school. And I used to have that because you'd have little bullies and whatnot. And then they say,
Yeah.
"Oh, what do you think? That person's terrible." And da 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 and da 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 and da da da. And I was like, well, I managed that person for some time and I've not experienced anything that you are telling me about. I know they are not the best person in the world, but they are just an ordinary person. So this one does this, that one does that, and that one does that. They're all different. But when we come together as a team, they're fantastic because where we have weaknesses and strengths, they bring it all together. And I couldn't work without them because they actually help me to do the job, and they do the job fantastically when they're working together as a team. Not everyone's perfect, and we don't all have. So I'm not going to say, I actually just don't agree with anything you're telling me about that. And even though you sort of got this peer pressure because you're sitting in a group and then saying, "What do you think?" I don't think what you think. I'm thinking different. But then I realized that sometimes even me saying that and then trying to sort of think, well, you're my manager. How are you coming out with this playground crap? How are you not trying to be a better person and work out what does that one need? How do I make these guys work together, not argue and do? That's what your job is. That's what my job is. So why are you not thinking on that level? So I'm thinking what you've said with this and everything. I have to be very careful because then I'm making judgments about those people who do think like that because they're entitled like that. We're at different levels and different thinking. Maybe it works in some form for other people or for them. So I need to make
it's a
those.
thought system that's not correct ultimately.
Yeah, but
You
I
can
need
see
to not
that.
make judgments.
But the key thing is do not condemn people for anything.
That's
Right? Judgment and condemnation go hand in hand. So it's
mm,
one thing to say, okay, I can see what they're doing and that's not really correct. It's out
yeah,
of alignment with truth and the principles I believe in. You have to do that. That's discernment. Right? I have to see that this isn't something that I want to emulate,
mm,
but I have a choice.
yeah,
And so I can let that go. But where it
yeah,
goes wrong is if you go, "Oh, you're just so bad. You're so unconscious. Oh, I just can't believe you're so unconscious. I mean, just so bad. Like you're a manager and you call yourself a manager and you're doing this. It's just appalling." And then you're just back in the same old thing, right?
yeah.
Judgment,
Because that's what I'm saying.
condemnation.
I have to be careful because although I'm talking to you and I've thought things in my, why can't you do this a bit? And I'm not saying it from a place
Yeah.
of horribleness, but you have to be careful because you can slowly start creeping into the position in there on, but from another angle.
Well, remember Jesus' famous line. We discussed it a bit earlier. Forgive them, Father,
No,
for they know not what they do.
mm,
You can apply that to anything. Okay, so they don't know what they're doing. They're confused. They
yeah,
don't understand the truth. They don't know who they are. They don't understand what God is. They're
mm,
disconnected from themselves, their higher self, and their source. They're lost. They're lost in a dream world. They're lost in the ego's world. They don't know
Yeah.
who they are. They might be a manager. They might be president of the United States. We see that, demonstrated very publicly with Donald Trump. No idea, not a clue who he is, really, authentic. So, okay, but forgive him, forgive all of them, for they know not what they do. They are not deserving of judgment and condemnation. Really, all you need to do is understand.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand that they just caught up in the ego's world, and this is what the ego dictates that they should do, and they think they're an ego. So then, they're going to do what it tells them to do, because that's what they think they are, and they've identified with that their whole life. And it's very scary for them to think that they're not that. Imagine you told Donald Trump, well, you're not really Donald Trump. This whole overblown illusion of a self that you've created your entire life isn't real at all. It's got no bearing on reality at all. It's total illusion. It's total fantasy. None of it's real. Let it all go. I mean, this is going to be quite. You'd probably go, you're just one of these crazy spiritual woo-woo types. I don't want to know. I don't want to know anything. I don't want to know, because, the ego is very firmly entrenched in his mind and telling him that this is who you are, and it's dictated his thoughts and words and actions for many, many years. So for him to change is virtually impossible, given his position.
Yeah,
he's caught in a trap of his own making. How do you suddenly imagine if he suddenly said to, well, you know what, I've seen the light, I've had a revelation, I've realized that it's all false and it's all bullshit and none of this means anything, and I'm resigning because I just actually can't play out the charade anymore. How would that go down? Probably not very well, right? People would go, he's totally lost the plot now.
Never gonna happen, is it?
No, Donald Trump's gone completely insane. World news. Donald Trump loses his mind. It just, it wouldn't work at all. So, and how would you behave if you're an enlightened being president? I mean, just what an invidious position to be in. I wouldn't want to be. You've got to make, all these calls, you're dealing in all this worldly stuff. And who would want to do that? I wouldn't. I wouldn't want to be caught up in a position like that. So he's a prisoner.
The option.
He's apparently succeeded to the highest level, but he's actually a prisoner of his own ego, and he's in a gilded prison of his own making, and he doesn't even realize he's a prisoner. That's why forgive them, Father, for they don't know what they do. And this applies to anyone, whether they're Donald Trump or your manager or the worst criminal. Or Adolf Hitler. Forgive them, for they don't know what they do. No idea.
It's just like, okay, let's just move on. I will try my best to support you, but I don't agree. Just don't agree with.
No, you don't mean you agree with them, but forgiveness means that you see, the error. You see that there's a mistake, and that it is a mistake, and you don't condemn them for it. Because then it becomes a sin. Then you condemn them for their sin, and that's how sin and guilt work.
That's right, because it's like you're learning a different. You need to do that learning to get to where you need to get to. But yeah.
Okay, so let's carry on. We've got how many more paragraphs? I think there's about 5, and then we can do a meditation. Okay, so with anger gone, you will indeed perceive that for Christ's vision and the gift of sight, no sacrifice was asked, and only pain was lifted from a sick and tortured mind. And if you can read the alternative, Dawn, with anger gone.
Anger gone, where is it? I can't see. Hang on.
There we go. With anger gone, I will indeed, top of the screen.
With anger gone, I will indeed perceive that for my true self vision and the gift of true perception, no sacrifice was asked, and only pain was lifted from a sick and tortured mind.
Is this unwelcome? Is it to be feared? Or is it to be hoped for, met with thanks and joyously accepted? So just read those three.
Is this unwelcome? Is it to be feared? Oh gosh, it goes flying around. Feared, or is it to be hoped for, met with the other way? Back, met with thanks and joyfully accepted.
Yeah, let's just say. So gratefully. It's to be hoped for and gratefully and joyfully accepted. Simpler. We are one and therefore give up nothing.
We are one and therefore give up nothing. Yeah.
But we have indeed been given everything by God.
But is it the same thing? We have indeed been given everything by pure, formless awareness of perfect love.
Mm-hmm. So then read the alternative from the top, with anger gone.
Oh, where is that?
Can you read it, or should I read it?
With anger gone, I will indeed perceive that for my true self's vision and the gift of true perception, no sacrifice was asked, and only pain was lifted from a sick and tortured mind. Yeah?
Yeah, carry on.
We read that one before. Is this?
No, we're just rereading it. We're just reread the whole thing and then
is this
kind of recap it.
Is this unwelcome? Is it for, or is it to be feared? My phone just keeps jamming.
Okay, well, I'll finish it for you. Or is it to be hoped for and gratefully and joyfully accepted? We are one and therefore give up nothing. But we have indeed been given everything by pure formless awareness of perfect love. So what's he saying there in a nutshell? Just in a quick summary. Go on.
He's saying his true self, once the anger's gone, his true self vision and what is that? Gift of true perception. No sacrifice has asked, and only pain was lifted from a sick and tortured mind. So it's more or less in his mind. Is this unwelcome? Is it to be feared? No. Or is it to be hoped for and gratefully accepted? So I think it's more like he's opened his mind in the sense of, whereas before his perception was fear and all the negatives, and it's probably made him more positive. Oh, don't know what I've done there. Just moved the thing. Oh, here it is.
Yeah, you're not really losing anything. That's what he's trying to say. You're actually only gaining. The ego tells you you're losing something, but you're only losing pain and suffering. Saying, can this really be unwelcome? Do you fear this, or do you just gratefully and joyfully accept this? but you've actually been given everything. In forgiveness, the letting go of everything that you previously valued, everything of true worth has actually been given to you. Now, when we start on the journey, we think we're losing things, but actually that's not true. You're just letting go of an illusion that was actually bondage that brought you a lot of misery and suffering and pain. It takes some time to realize that, though. It's not overnight. There's a process in the letting go process. It can seem that things are being taken away. It can seem to be losing. The idea of sacrifice can be quite prevalent. Oh, I'm losing. This is terrible. What's happening to my life? And usually, what's happening is you're starting to realize that these illusions just don't work, and the facade that the illusion works is cracking. And then it's natural for the ego to go, oh, this is terrible, my life's ending, what's happening? Why can't I just go back to where it was? But actually, it's a necessary part of the undoing of the ego. And you're not really losing anything, you're just realizing that it actually had no value to start with. But that's the journey of awakening. It's a process. All right. So happy to go on to number 7. So do you want to read the original? I'll read the alternative. Switch it around.
The original. Okay. 4 or 7.
Yet do we need forgiveness to perceive that this is so?
Hold on a minute. Screen's gone. Right, we're back again. So 7 is, yet I do need letting go.
Okay. So the original first, Dawn, the top one here.
Oh,
just read that by sentence first. I'll read the alternative.
Yet do we need forgiveness to perceive that this is so without its...
hang on. Yeah. One sentence at a time. So yet I do need letting go to perceive that this is true. Okay, then number 2.
Without its kindly light, we grope in darkness, using reasons but to justly our rage and our attack. Justify, our rage and our attack.
Without its kind awareness, I grope about in negative awareness, I call it, rather than darkness, using reason only to justify my rage and my attacks.
Okay. Our understanding is so limited that what we think we understand is but confusion, born of error.
My understanding is so limited that what I think I understand is only confusion born of error.
We are lost in midst of shifting dreams and fearful thoughts. Our eyes shut tight against the light. Our minds engage in worshipping what is not there.
So I'm lost in mists of shifting dreams and fearful thoughts. With my spiritual vision and the pure formless awareness, it would show me blocked, and my mind valuing only what is not really there. Okay, I'll read the alternative from the top. So yet, I do need letting go to perceive that this is true. Without its kind awareness, I grope about in negative awareness, using reason only to justify my rage and my attacks. My understanding is so limited that what I think I understand is just confusion born of error. Changed only to just, I think. I've used it in the previous sentence. I'm lost in mists of shifting dreams and fearful thoughts. With my spiritual vision and the pure formless awareness, it would show me blocked, and my mind valuing only what is not really there. Okay, so what's he saying here? In a nutshell.
Okay. Now I do letting go, perceive true. So awareness. I grope about negative awareness using reason. It's more or less he's kind of attacking because his understanding's not really there, and his perception is kind of limited to he's sort of back and forth with the shifting dreams. He's not really, he's more in a fear state. Is that what he's saying? He's more in a fear state and he's kind of blocked.
Yeah, we don't let go. We're just confused, and we think all of our perceptions are real, and we get caught up in negative awareness, justifying our rage, our attacks. We mentioned Donald Trump. Just think of the way he behaves.
Yeah.
It's just ego. It's ego central. All this rage, attack, and this all appears to be normal, but it's actually completely delusional. He's lost in mists of shifting dreams and fearful thoughts.
Never normal. I said I personally never thought he was normal.
No, I mean, and so what he polarizes people, because some people love him and go, wow, this guy's amazing, and I don't know why, but they do.
They do. Heard people.
Well, because he's so extreme, I think. So some people. I mean, people loved Hitler as well. Remember, Hitler was the darling of the German nation at one point, even though he was a maniac. So anyone who is extreme will attract followers because he appears to be strong. There's an illusion of power. A lot of people who would support him say, this is the guy, he's got character, he's got balls, he's going to make America great, he doesn't take any prisoners, he's a real man, blah, 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 whatever, all these delusions.
He just shouts loudly, I think, about stuff and puts stuff in place, but doesn't actually really know what he's doing because he's causing a lot of disruption. But he loves attention. I mean, I've got someone else. They play their music very loud. Everyone's quiet. No one's. But I just want you to look at me. I just want you to know I'm here. That's what I see it as.
And this is what the ego does. I'm not quietly confident in my own true knowledge of who I am, my own awareness. So I've got to play this ego game, and everyone's got to notice me and big, the grandiosity of the ego, big myself up, and everyone's got to notice me. And actually, the other side is people who are a bit more awake look at that and go, nah, that's not right.
It's like, oh,
you know what I mean? Come on, like seriously, grow up. There's no wisdom there. There's no genuine, nothing genuine there. It's just all of this overblown ego playing itself out, and I'm not fooled by it. And so, it almost, he polarizes people. There's people who love him, unawakened, and not seeing through the illusion and the facade that he presents, and those who have a bit more kind of awareness go, oh, hang on, something's really wrong here. I just can't buy this. There's nothing authentic about this. It's just this great image. He's like a cardboard cutout character, and he even has this horrible orange skin.
Yeah, well, you had some issues.
It looks bizarre. It looks like this fake, this fake tan, this fake person, and that's the ego, right? So those with the eyes to see will see through that, and will go, no, I can't accept that and support that. And those who are taken in by the illusion will go, oh, no, this is great, this is amazing. He's such a character, and he's so strong, and and that's the split between ego and spirit, which characters like this bring about. Okay, so just another one of these images. Word of God, if you want to read that, these little quotes from the course, various aspects of the course. Word of God. Just read that quote, Dawn. Beneath your words is written the word of God. Okay, well, I've read that. And then just this quote below.
Okay, the idea for today is another step in learning to let go the thoughts which you have written on the world and see the world of God, see the word of God, in their place. Sorry, my eyes are a bit tired now.
Yeah, Okay, can you read the next one, or shall I read it? I'll read the next one.
One.
Beginner's gently looks upon all things unknown in heaven. So that's everything in this world, the people, the characters,
Okay.
places, and sees them disappear and leaves the world a clean and unmarked slate on which the word of God can now replace the senseless symbols written there before. So quite nicely illustrated in the picture. It's the light that shines through all this. So all these characters, all the scenes in the world, there's this light that shines through them that sort of is stronger than the form of the characters. They're still there, but you see they're kind of secondary to the light. The thing that you see in this picture is mostly the light.
Yeah.
And so that's symbolic of our enlightened perception. That I see correctly. I don't see the drama and the egos and the errors and the pain and the suffering and the sickness and the death anymore. I just see this underlying awareness shining through. He calls that the word of God, right? So the word of God is the message of perfect love written on the world. So you see all these false images, but underneath that you see that there's still this perfect loving awareness, which is the light.
Yeah.
And that's still there, and it's not obscured by any of these images, because it's permanent, it's eternal, it's always there, it's always been there, it always will be there. Your choice is just, do you see it or not? Are you able to perceive it and bring that into your own awareness or not? And that's the choice we all have. Forgiveness brings that awareness of the light of this perfect loving awareness into your mind again.
Yeah.
And allows you to see it again. So you don't get caught up in these dreams and seeing that, just only what's happening on the level of form, the characters and how they're behaving, and interpreting all of that as reality. The forgiveness says, no, that's not reality. The only thing that's real is the light of pure awareness that underlies all of this. So underneath all Donald Trump shenanigans lies the light of his true awareness, which he doesn't even know. Probably
well,
very much.
Like Christ, don't they?
You can still perceive that.
Their choice, how they want to use it. So every living being has the light of Christ there. But you choose, because that was the whole point. You have a choice. You can use it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some people will choose not to. That's
That's
just how
right.
the illusion goes. In fact, most people who come here choose not to, which is why they're here in the first place. They chose against heaven, and they chose not to understand the truth of who they really are. And so they come into the world and they incarnate as a human being to pretend that they're something else, which is precisely why they're here, because they denied the light of their true awareness. And but they can change their mind while they're here. That's awakening.
And that's the forgiveness of God. Will always have his arms stretched out and always embrace when they become aware. And that's why we have missionaries. We have people here to keep teaching. And if at some point down the line, once they're living this life, they want to become aware of that light and go that way, they can. It's always good choice.
Yeah. And it's available always, and it will be available eternally. It doesn't matter what they've done, how many mistakes they've made.
That's right.
Where they find themselves, it doesn't matter, because they can always change their mind now, and they can awaken to who they really are. And at least they can start that process. It doesn't always happen overnight, but they can start the process and they can work on it, and that's a choice. We all have.
Yep.
Irrespective of our circumstances. I saw a beggar on the road today. And I looked into his eyes, and it was so, you could see just sad. And I really felt compassion, but I reminded myself, but that's a choice. He has a choice.
Yeah.
He had a choice to do this to himself, and he has a choice to say, enough. I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
And certainly in the UK, if you want to get off the street, you can. There are organizations and so on that will help you to do that and start again. But it starts with your willingness. It's a choice. Okay, enough of this. Enough of oppressing myself and this kind of really miserable existence that I've created for myself. Enough. I'm going to make a change. okay, I'm going to look for help. I'm going to find a way, and that's when things change.
Yeah.
So, yes, we have empathy, but, at the same time, recognizing that everyone is where they are because of their choices.
Yeah.
Nothing happens by accident.
Yeah. I mean, it took
You are where you are because of your choices, and
to
you
get
can't get away from that. Your life is a sum total of your choices.
Yeah.
And you can make different choices. You can make better choices, which is precisely what forgiveness is. It's a better choice to make. Okay.
About
So
their
who can be born again in Christ? Sorry, Dawn?
I said it's about their learning as well. I must admit, I did see someone, we were on the train, and it's the same guy that I saw last time. He was like begging for money, and well, what he was saying is, oh, I'm so hungry. And last time I gave him my lunch because he was going on and no one was, and I just said, you know what, here, I've made this lovely lunch. You can have it. If you're really hungry, here you go. You have my lunch. And then he started to swear at me and said, no, I don't want it, go away. So, and I was with a relative at the time. And then all the train kind of looked because they were sitting next to, and then they all moved and, we left it. And then the other day, like one day last week or this week, I saw him again and he followed this woman onto the train and myself. And then he was begging again and it was fine. And then she felt a bit guilty, so she got a scratch card out for him. She said, there's £3 on that. If you want, you could take that to the shop and get it. He was like, no, I need £7. I need £7. And I'm really hungry. So I only had a Satsuma or something this time. So I was giving him that. And you see the way he looked at me and he was so cross and said no. And I said, you're not really hungry then. Because if it was me, I would take it and I'd be grateful for it. Because you make a choice.
Exactly. So, he's enslaved himself into this mindset of the world owes me something, and
that's right.
Now I'm going to get my living by begging, and I want money. I want money. I don't want food. I want money. Maybe because he's an addict. Maybe he wants the money because he wants to get his fix.
That's exactly what they
You know
want.
what I mean? He doesn't actually. Somebody uses a story. He says, "I'm hungry," but because no one's going to give him money if he says, "Well, I want money, to buy drugs." No one's going to buy that, are they? No one's going to give him money.
Yeah.
But if he says, "I'm hungry," then but it's not genuine.
Yeah. And it isn't. And there's so many times, and I think I'm not here to kill you. And the ones that are genuine, because I've come across lots of genuine people, ex-soldier, they just sit quietly. You can look at that person's face. Like I looked at this man's face and he weren't saying anything and he was hungry. And I could see that. I felt the Holy Ghost tell me this man's hungry. I went and bought him a meal. He was just so grateful for it. He didn't know I was going to do it. He didn't want me to do it, but I felt it. And that's why I'm saying there's a difference. But they have a voice. And with him, I'm so more because he's gone through the war or something. I only found this out after because I went into this shop where he usually sits and the chap was telling me about the guy's life and how it's messed him up going into the army and stuff. So that is where you think there's a need. I feel really empathy and sympathy for them, but they make it worse, like the other lot, for the people like that, because you're just making up stories and they're not.
Yeah, he's a scammer essentially. He doesn't really want to help himself. He's just using a story to get money for probably nefarious purposes. He doesn't really want food. He probably wants to buy something else.
No,
usually drugs. That's how it goes. So and then unfortunately everyone goes, well, I don't want to help anyone because you get these con artists, these scammers. Anyway, let's carry on, shall we? We got a couple of paragraphs to go. So who can be born again in Christ but him who has forgiven everyone he sees or thinks of or imagines?
Where were we? Imagines. Oh, who can be born again in in their true self, except someone who has let go of their judgments about everyone they see. Think of or imagine.
Who could be set free while he imprisons anyone?
Who can be set free while their judgments about everyone. Oh no.
While they imprison
anyone.
A jailer is not free, for he is bound together with his prisoner.
A jailer is not free, for they are bound together with their prisoner.
He must be sure that he does not escape, and so he spends his time in keeping watch on him.
They must be sure that their prisoner does not escape, and spend and so they spend their time in a sorry, I'm trying to
get out. Spend their time keeping watch over them, doesn't he?
Yeah.
The bars that limit him become the world in which his jailer lives along with him.
The bars that put the prisoner in bondage become the world in which their jailer lives along with the prisoner.
And it is on his freedom that the way to liberty depends for both of them.
And the way to the freedom of both depends on the prisoner's freedom. Okay.
And then just read it from the top.
Who can be born again in their true self, except someone who has let go of
their judgments.
Okay.
Do you want me to read it, Dawn?
Yeah, goes right out of the screen.
Right. So who can be born again in their true self, except someone who has let go of their judgments about everyone they see, think of, or imagine? Who can be set free while they imprison anyone? A jailer is not free, for they are bound together with their prisoner. They must be sure that their prisoner does not escape, and so they spend their time keeping watch over them. The bars that put the prisoner in bondage become the world in which their jailer lives along with the prisoner. And the way to the freedom of both depends on the prisoner's freedom. Okay, so what's he really saying there in a quick summary?
Well, it feels like you're tied. Sometimes it's almost like you can make judgments, but you're literally going to be caught in that with that person. So, yeah.
You judge someone, you condemn someone, then you remain in prison with them. And he's using the analogy of the jailer who is not free because he has to watch over his prisoner. You know, we all understand that.
Although
the prison guards aren't really free, they're part of the same system.
Yeah.
Although they're free to go home at night, they bound up in the same system and often, have quite a criminal mindset themselves. If you watch The Shawshank Redemption, great movie with
oh no, that was a
brilliant movie, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually the warden and the chief guard are criminals. They're running a racket.
Yeah.
And the prisoner who they're keeping in prison is actually innocent.
Exactly.
They're as much prisoners as the prisoners in the prisoners of their ego. And then eventually this, the beauty of that movie was that, the Holy Spirit inspires this guy to free himself. He finds a way to overcome all of that bondage and that imprisonment, free himself, and make sure that justice is done. Because what the the warden and the guard had committed murder. So, you know, they end up becoming, well, the warden kills himself, and the prisoner, the chief guard, becomes a prisoner himself.
Yeah.
Because actually wasn't very far away from the prisoners in his mindset. They say that the criminal and the policeman are actually not very far apart.
That's right, because the environment will always create that will, and that's why I was like, it's not great to be in environments that are not good, because you're going to be the 8th drug dealer, you're going to be the next, if you're not kind of, and even if you are, that can start, you know, coming out you. So you have to be really careful. Like you say, they're just in prison. You're not really a prison guard. You can go at night, but you become the prisoner.
Yeah, of your own mind, you know. And why would you want to become a prison guard? I mean, who in their right mind would want a job like that? I don't know, but people do.
Yeah.
Usually because of ego reasons, or maybe they're desperate for a job. But usually there's an ego, like, oh well, you know, I can actually feel important, right? If I'm the prison guard,
right, the power.
I can go into the prison, and I have all this power over these prisoners, and I have status, and you know, people in the outside world don't give me that, but in prison, you know, what I say goes, and you know, the prisoners fear me, and you know, it's a big power trip. You see all that in the Shawshank Redemption, very well shown. And then when the guard finally gets caught, you know, and the cops come and arrest him, then he apparently bursts into tears. So all of that power macho, you know, it's like, well, okay, now that's all collapsed, because you are going to prison yourself.
Yeah, to be exactly where he didn't want to be, but he's been living there all his life.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and then imagine, you know, if he goes back into that same prison, imagine what the prisoners are going to do to him. It's like, oh, okay, right now, you know, now it's time to get even, because you've been.
Even if he went to a different prison and they found he was a prison guard, he isn't not going to have a good time.
He's not going to have a good time, you know. But then that's his karma, right? That's karma. And so it was a great movie, because you see the karma of these characters playing out, and how in the end, you know, they get their just deserts. Not that that's punishment, but that's what they created. You know, the warden was dishonest and manipulative and abusing, and then, well, okay, you know, your game's up, and then he has no option but to commit suicide. And the prison guard, who's been a bully and has, you know, just used and abused people, now, okay, your game is up, and you're going to have to face, you know, you're going to face your day of reckoning. You have to go to prison yourself, and you know, that's how life works. Everyone gets their lessons. And the man who was authentic, even though he was a prisoner, he found that freedom within him, and he never let the prison get him down. You know, he held that vision of freedom because he knew he was innocent. Finally escapes. You know, he finds a way to get out of prison because he is innocent, and he's not actually a prisoner in his mind. So he finds a way to free himself from all that, and ends up being, you know, free. Whereas, you know, even the prison guards and the warden, they were enslaved by the oppression of the ego's thought system. So yeah, that's really what this is saying. You know, don't hold anyone prisoner by judging them, by condemning them, because then you just enslave yourself.
Yeah.
Seems to be fairly obvious, except that, you know, to the ego it's not obvious. So for most people it's not obvious, and they think that by judging someone, somehow they free themselves. You know, that other person is guilty and they're not guilty.
It gives them power, doesn't it? And some people enjoy that power to be able to be, you're in a position of power, but you're still going to put people down and judge them.
Yeah. And to lose power, you seem to be better than them and superior to them, and you know, you can lord it over them, but actually it's very weak power, because you feel guilty. If you treat someone badly, you feel guilty. You'll feel fearful yourself that one day the tables will return and someone will judge you. Maybe they will come back and they'll judge you and they'll attack you, or someone else will.
Think about, Jono, what you're saying. You may feel guilty and you may feel all these things, but they do not. That's the problem.
But they do on some level. They do. It's just not conscious guilt, right? So they will embrace that guilt and they'll go, I don't feel guilty, I'll just act however I want. But on a deeper level, they do. And that deeper level, the subconscious, is what runs your life. So those people in the Shawshank Redemption, eventually the punishment came upon them, the warden and the prison guard. They felt guilty on some level, and then because you feel guilty, guilt demands punishment, and then that punishment will come upon you in some way, shape, or form. They wouldn't consciously have get, oh, I feel guilty, but subconsciously, and that's really what drives the program. And then okay, the punishment has come up upon me finally, and that's actually what on some level they thought they deserved, and so then they create that. Why didn't they see it coming? Why didn't they see that he'd been trying to escape for 19 years? Well, because on some level they thought they deserved to be shopped out and caught and punished. You see, subconsciously. Anyway. Okay, so let's carry on. Therefore, hold no one prisoner, release instead of bind, for thus are you made free. Do you read the alternative?
Okay. Right. Therefore, I will hold no one prisoner to my judgment. I will release instead of imprisonment. Imprison. For in this way I am set free.
The way is simple. Every time you feel a stab of anger, realize you hold a sword above your head.
Hold a sword above. Oh, I need to release that.
So the way is simple. Every time I feel a stab of anger, I need to realize.
Every time I feel a stab of anger, I need to realize that I hold a sword of judgment above my own head.
And that's quite profound. So I'm angry with someone or something, and actually I'm judging myself in this moment. Because all attack is self-attack.
Okay.
It takes a lot of awareness to realize this. When I'm attacking anyone else, in my mind, I'm really attacking myself. Why? Because in that moment, I'm not in perfect loving awareness. I'm in another state, right? I'm thinking attack thoughts. I'm thinking anger and hatred and fear, which all of those thoughts and emotions cover over my pure awareness. So I'm holding the sword of judgment above my own head whenever I feel anger. Wow, it's a stunning realization. If you really get that, well, you'll stop doing it, won't you?
Yeah.
But it's the awareness, self-awareness is just realizing, okay, this is what I'm doing. I'm feeling angry. I'm just judging and condemning myself here. This is not smart to do that. I'm just hurting myself. Okay. So whenever I feel angry, I'm hurting myself. All right. If I know that, the only answer is to let go of the anger. And he says, and it will fall, be averted, as you choose to be condemned or free.
Exactly. Judgment above head.
Yeah. And it will fall, be averted, as I choose to be condemned or free.
Yeah. Or free. So does each person who seems to tempt me to be angry represent my liberator from the prison of death? And so I owe them thanks instead of condemnation. Oh.
Yeah. So I should be grateful.
So hold on a minute.
Instead of condemning them. And that's, again, enormously powerful. Okay, so someone who's really seemingly done something I don't like, they've hurt me, I must be grateful for this instead of condemning. It's a total turnaround. It totally undoes the ego's thought system, doesn't it?
Making me think a bit differently then.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, oh gosh, that's hard to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe.
That's the way you know you're really forgiven. If you can really be grateful, say, okay, thank you, for showing me my own anger and helping me to release it. Remember what we said in the Art of Letting Go course, in the Name Your Game exercise. Thank you for showing me my shadow and helping me release it. Thank you for showing me this and helping me release it. That's the gratitude. Without you, I wouldn't be aware of this. I wouldn't have this opportunity to free myself from my own ego, from my own anger and fear and my own self-condemnation. So you've given me that opportunity once again. So why am I condemning you when you're actually helping me to free myself? It's a totally opposite way of thinking from the ego.
Well, yeah. But also, it's funny because when I'm reading this and you're talking to me, little things are coming into my head. And I was like, so at one time they were saying, oh, you don't like conflict. You're always not wanting to face conflict. And I thought, well, no, I don't like conflict, really. If I don't have to do it, I don't particularly want to do it.
Well, isn't that normal? Why would you want conflict? Who in their right mind would choose conflict over peace?
Well, my manager thinks that I shouldn't. She's like, I said, well, I don't come to work to fight. I come to work. And you keep going on about I've got to fight. But I don't come. I'm not in a boxing ring. And I don't particularly like angry and horrible things going on in conflict. She says, yeah, I noticed that you don't. She said, but you need to fight for things. And I said, no, I don't. They're not mine. Why should I fight for them? Don't belong to me.
Yeah, it's different thought system. The ego won't be convinced. It'll be like, okay, you're just a bit weird and strange, and because it's different, it's an alternative thought system. But it's the truth. This is what Jesus is teaching: an alternative thought system that replaces the egos, that frees us from this prison of death. And everyone who triggers us to get angry is helping us in our awakening. Because if they get you angry, there's obviously something in you that you haven't let go of.
Yeah.
Why are you getting angry?
And that's what buttons have they pushed then when I do. But most times I'm okay and I don't really do conflict. And it's almost like she's trying to see, are you going to do it? Why do you? And I was thinking, no, I'm going to do it. And all this stuff you're talking about is not mine. I don't own it. I don't care. You do whatever you want. It's fine. And if you don't want me to do stuff, that's fine.
You see, the ego wants you to get involved. The ego wants you to get into the drama. It's like, well, why aren't you getting into the drama? That's normal. No, it's not normal. It's completely insane and dysfunctional.
Well, there's people dying in the world. Why am I going to get angry about some stupidness? There's stuff going on that really we should be doing and helping, and you need to get angry over something that's really silly for no reason. No, I'm not going to do that. Yeah.
So who's your savior? The person who's angry at you and aggressive and condemning and attacking is your savior. I mean, it's hard to see that always. Like if someone is having a go at you, shouting, no, it's not easy. But this awareness is there to remind you. But actually, this is your savior. This person. If you're getting angry with them, you hold a sword above your own head. You're judging and condemning yourself. We give into that anger. We then let the sword fall on us. While if we let the anger go, by beholding our brother truly, we lower the sword, right? So instead of going, right, I'm angry and now I'm going to fight back, that's the sword, you just go, well, I'm just going to, I'm going to drop it. I'm going to let it go. I don't have to react.
Yeah, I mean, once I must admit, and I've never really ever had to react, but I did, and I never do that at work. And I think there was the two of them just going on and getting on. And I just said, hang on a minute, that's enough now. And I just went out the door and went for a walk because I thought, you're now getting me annoyed.
but you just
and I
you
don't
just
get annoyed.
walked away. You didn't get involved in an argument. You just walked away. So that was, probably the best way to let it go. Just interrupt the pattern and then walk away. So thus does each one who seems to tempt you to be angry represent your savior from the prison house of death. And so you owe him thanks instead of pain.
Mm.
Sight as your brother and savior, you owe him thanks. So you can reinterpret. Someone is having a go at you, they verbally abusing, they're attacking, maybe even physically, and you go, okay, this is actually my savior in disguise.
Mm.
It's a complete reinterpretation of that situation. I'm not saying it's easy to do in the moment, but this is what this thought system is training you to see it differently and say, well, okay, so they're attacking me, but this is actually my savior, and I have something to learn from this. I remember listening to, I did a Vipassana course, as I might have mentioned to you. One of the sort of guy who was managing the whole center, a fairly young guy, said, I really realized that Vipassana worked when I went back home and my dad was having a go at him and verbally attacking him. And he said, before I did Vipassana, I would have just kind of shrunk away and felt really defensive and fearful and not known what to say. But when he did this, because I'd done all this Vipassana training, I just looked at him and I didn't react. I just observed, okay, my heart rate's going faster and I'm feeling fear and I'm feeling the anger arise, but I'm not going to react. I'm just going to say nothing. I'm going to look at him and I'm just going to watch the emotions. And he said it was quite remarkable because his dad just calmed down, took him a minute or two, and then he calmed down naturally, and they started to have a much more kind of normal conversation. And he said, I could never have done that if I hadn't have practiced this meditation many, many hours, which is really a practice of letting go. The meditation is about letting go of your desire and your attachment to anything, or the desire and aversion, letting go of any of that, and just finding a clean, clear awareness beneath that. So it's a letting go practice. So he, in that moment, literally he was facing this. His father was having a go at him verbally, and instead of feeling the stab of anger, he did feel it, but he let it go, and he just looked at him without saying anything, and just watched his emotions and went, I'm not going to react. And because he was in that state of presence and awareness, it just naturally brought the whole situation down, and his father came to some kind of sanity, and they actually managed to have a fairly normal conversation, and whereas if he'd reacted in anger, then the whole thing escalates. If you defend,
crazy.
It's going to get even more attacking, and the insults fly, and maybe it gets physical, and that's how it goes, because it adds fuel to the fire. The Buddha, I'll just tell you a story about the Buddha. Apparently was one point he was meditating, some old guy comes to him and then deliberately wants to wind him up, and goes, okay, I'm just going to insult you, and hurls every possible insult at him that he can imagine, about him, his family, and the Buddha just sits there and watches it. No reaction, nothing, says nothing. And then eventually the guy stops because he's just kind of like, okay, I don't know what to say anymore. And then he says, so tell me, old man, if someone gives a gift to someone else and that the person who's receiving the gift doesn't accept it, then whose gift is it? And the old man sort of goes, okay, it's a pattern interrupt, but he says, well, I guess it would still be the giver's then, logically, because the gift accepted. And so the Buddha said, yeah, exactly. And then so in the same way, I do not accept your gift of abuse. It is still yours. How's that for an answer?
I love it. Yeah.
Beautiful. And so the old man's like, whoa, okay, that's just totally floored me. It totally turned the tables. I don't really know what to say to that. Okay, teach me how you did that. So he became the Buddha's student and disciple, because he just showed him, in that moment, he showed him exactly, the benefits of enlightenment, of mastery in how he dealt with that situation. Just completely floored him with the simple question, which you couldn't do if you were getting angry. If the Buddha was getting angry and going, okay, I'll just wait for him to finish and then I'm going to launch back into some vitriolic counter-attack, then there would have been no transformation. There would have been no learning. It would have just been fighting fire with fire, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. The Buddha practiced forgiveness, showed that, demonstrated that, and the man was like, okay, I'm totally blown away by that answer, that you had the presence of mind to say that. So yeah, okay, I'll learn from you. Yeah, I can learn something from you, which was in fact the whole point, as the Buddha would have been aware of the engagement. This was a potential disciple. You just had to allow it to kind of play out and not take any of it personally. Because really the guy was just in his ego trying to wind him up and go, okay, I've come with a mission. I'm going to show that the Buddha isn't enlightened, that, I can actually wind him up and I can get him to feel angry. But, he was so awakened that he didn't respond. He didn't react. And then was able to come up with that very, wise answer. Just only his higher awareness could help him do that. In the same way as, think of Jesus, when the adulteress was brought before him.
Yeah.
And they said, so, the law of Moses says this lady should be stoned to death. What do you say? And he just comes up
without sin. That's the first
beautiful. Let he was never sinned, cast the first stone. It's just like, okay, that completely floors everyone.
Yeah.
Just defuses the whole situation. And how do you have the wisdom in, such difficult circumstances to say that, to know what to say? Well, that's the Holy Spirit. That's connecting higher awareness. Same as the Buddha in that situation. So, this is what we call wisdom. And you only get that wisdom through the practice of forgiveness, not getting. And interesting, Jesus bent down and drew a line in the sand, or wrote something. And, I think he just did that. People will go, well, why did he do that? I think he gave himself time. It was just, okay, just pause, write something in the sand because it's something to do, rather than just standing here and then the pressure's really on because I'm just standing and everyone's waiting for an answer, right? So instead, I'll just pause, I'll go down, it'll give me a moment to just reflect, ask for guidance. Okay, calm myself. I know what to say.
A moment as well for them to calm. It works the both ways, because they're all hit up and ready to, it gives them a moment.
It calms the
to do it.
It's like, okay. Create a pause, create some space, and by doodling something in the sand, maybe he wrote something, or maybe he didn't. We'll never know. But really, it was a pause to say, okay, just give myself some time, calm the whole situation down, and then I'll come up with this, this phenomenal response. I mean, that situation was potentially life-threatening certainly for the woman and maybe for him.
Yeah.
Because if he'd said that what they wanted to do was trick him into saying, well, no, the law of Moses says this, but I disagree. She should be forgiven and released. Then they go, well, you're denying the law of Moses, so stone him. He's that was a trap. He knew that. So, what he's saying, it's like the perfect response, the one-liner that's just going to defuse the whole situation.
But he knew way, because he was the new way, the New Testament, the way and the light. And what was happening with the law of Moses, that was all very older, this strict, an eye for an eye, Exodus, all that stuff. We'd gone past that. So we were coming on. So that's the way he dealt with it, because he came to bring us that. And when you read the scripture and you go through, it was right. We're done with it. This is how we need to progress. This is how we need to act going forward. So he came to teach us a lot of more wise ways of continuing.
Yeah, a new way of thinking and living, essentially.
Yeah.
To teach.
For sure.
Which is phenomenally powerful. Just one moment, Dawn. I just need to. My phone is going to die in 1 minute. So
That's
I'm
fine.
just recording. Let me get my. I don't want to lose this whole recording. It's 2.5 hours, so I'm just going to plug it in. We've kind of gone on, but really interesting. I'm very very happy. Okay, so let's unplug that one.
So what will you do with the recording?
Well, the recording goes to the group, so it's posted to the Telegram group.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's also streaming live to YouTube as a video. So it's in 2 places. Yeah, but you can catch all of these if you look at the group. You'll see these voice messages that I post, and then I label them, and you can listen to them. We do a live session, and I'm sending recordings every day of previous live sessions.
And if it's short or edit, do you edit?
It's not a bit shorter. So you can just do a meditation, for instance, which is some are 6 minutes, 15 minutes. Some of the sessions I do them in little sections. So you'll see there's a 22-minute one. Is it 22 minutes? Yeah. So yeah. So there are shorter bits. This one is a particularly long one, and we're going 2.5 hours now. But then that's a long form podcast. You can just listen. If someone wants to listen to it, they can put it on and listen while they're driving or working or cooking or whatever, and get. I mean, there's some really interesting stuff we discussed, right? It doesn't come in short form. It's like, okay, so all these things we talked about, Jesus and the Buddha and these stories. I think it's interesting and it's helpful, but it's not going to come in a 5-minute summary chat. So yeah, it's the value of long form. You can really get stuck in deep into stuff. All right, so let's crack on, shall we? So I'm aware it's now nearly 11 o'clock, so yeah, I'll wrap this up. So therefore I will hold no one prisoner to my judgment. I will release instead of imprison, for in this way I am set free. The way is simple. Every time I feel a stab of anger, I must realize that I hold a sword of judgment above my own head, and will fall or be averted as I choose to be condemned or freed. So does each person who seems to tempt me to be angry represent my liberator from the prison of death, and so I should be grateful to them instead of condemning them. So really what that's saying is, we should be grateful rather than resentful. The person who tested us the most is actually our greatest teacher, and is there to help us to free ourselves. Totally turns it around, and if you can really feel gratitude to the person who's apparently tormented you the most in this world, then you're practicing forgiveness. Simple as that. If you still resent them and are angry towards them, then it's opposite of gratitude. Then you're not forgiving, you're judging and you're condemning. So it's actually quite a simple test. If you can feel grateful, then genuinely grateful for whatever they have taught you, then you've truly forgiven. And if you can't, then there's still more work to be done to forgive or let go. Okay, so last one, number 10. So do you want to read the original? I'll read the alternative.
Okay, where is it? Number 10.
Yeah, be merciful today.
Be merciful today. I
choose loving and kind today. So I translate mercy. It's quite an old-fashioned word. I translate it into loving and kind.
Okay.
Appropriate.
The Son of God deserves your mercy.
The extension of perfect love deserves my blessing.
It is He who asks that you accept the way to freedom now.
going to change blessing to loving kindness. It asks that I accept the way to freedom now.
Deny him not.
I will not deny it.
His Father's love for him belongs to you.
Its source's love for it is mine.
Your function here on earth is only to forgive him. Forgive him that you may accept him back as your identity.
My function here on earth is only to let go of all my judgments about it so that I may accept it back as my true identity.
He is a God create. He is as God created him.
I'm going to change this to about myself and others, so make it a bit more practical. I may accept. You may accept him back as your identity. I accept my true self back as my identity. Okay. We are as perfect love extends us.
Okay. And you are what he is.
And so I am what my plural, what my companions are.
Forgive him now his sins, and you will see that you are one with him.
So when I let go of my misperceptions of everyone's sins today, I will understand that I am one with them. I'm going to say, and my true self. Okay, because there's only one self. So when I let go of all these misperceptions, I let go of the idea of separation. I realize that I'm one. We must be the same. I'm not separate from them in any way. You know, they're the same self. They're the same awareness. That's what forgiveness brings about. Whereas, any judgment, anger creates a separation between me and them. Okay, so then just read it from the top in the alternative.
Right. Where am I? Alternative. I've got to read it from the top in the alternative, yeah?
Yeah, ideally. You can do that. That'd be great.
Chose to be loving and kind today. Oh. The extension of perfect love deserves my loving kindness. It asks that I accept the way to freedom now. I will not deny it. Its source is love, for it is mine. My function here on earth is only to let go of all my judgments about myself and others so that I may accept my true self back as my identity. We are a perfect love extends us. And so I am what my companions are. When I let go of my misconceptions of everyone's sins today, I will understand that I am once with them and my true self. One with them and my true self. Okay.
So what's he saying there?
When I let go of my thoughts and misconceptions. I understand I am. We all have the light of Christ, basically, I think.
Yeah.
Our one. It's just about our choices, but we are all the same.
Yeah, so this process of forgiveness restores my mind to its true home. It restores me to my true self. I realize that there's only one true self, right? There's only one Christ, one self, one awareness, which unites us. And my brother is that, I am that, and everything else is just a delusion. I've just made up all kinds of illusions to separate me from others and convince myself that I'm separate. But that's not true. And then, we awaken to who we really are, which is this one true self, the Christ. If we go back to this diagram, let me just share that with you. So once we fully realize that we are the true self or the Christ, we're not very far from God, right? Because that true self is one self. So behind the true self is this perfect oneness, or pure formless awareness of perfect love, as we call it. That is what's behind the higher self concept of the true self. Perfect oneness, right? There's only one self. We're united in that self. That one self can now perceive correctly, which is the Holy Spirit, and can help us reinterpret all the things going on in this world. But it's connected to the source. Its source is perfect oneness, the awareness of perfect oneness. So you see how this then works in practice, right? As you identify more and more with this true self by correcting your perception, you get closer and closer to this pure formless awareness of perfect love, which ultimately will become your entire reality. And you won't have a true self anymore, and you won't have true perception. So in other words, Christ and the Holy Spirit just fade away, because you don't need a true self, and you don't need the Holy Spirit's remembrance of perfect love. You don't need to remember perfect love when you are perfect love, right? You don't need a memory anymore. The memory has become the full awareness of what you remembered. And so the memory fades away and just becomes the awareness which you remembered, which now makes perfect sense psychologically. You're like, okay, yes, so the remembrance fades away and is not needed when you're fully in this awareness. And so the Holy Spirit and Christ simply fade away eventually into God, into this one awareness. And that's really what he's saying. Very, very simple, but it requires a lot of forgiveness, a lot of letting go to practice that and understand that. Okay, so there is a brief summary. What I suggest is we don't spend long on this. Just read it, and we'll just use that to wrap the session up. If you want to do a meditation, we can, but I know it's quite late, so maybe just want to skip that.
Yeah.
Go to bed. So let's just take turns. I'll read one paragraph, you read the other. Just reflect on it briefly. Go, okay, so what is that saying? In under a minute, and then we'll carry on. And we should be able to get this done in about 10 minutes then. Okay, so my completion is found in my source's pure formless awareness, and I am its sacred extension, forever united with pure formless awareness of perfect love. My true function in the world may seem unclear due to my own envy, hatred, and attack thoughts, but it will become clear to me as I let go of my false, negative thoughts and emotions. So what he's saying there is that we just need to let go of all the negativity, and then we'll become aware of who we really are and what our true function is. Our true function is really just to realize who we are. It's to awaken to who we are. The process of that looks like I've got to let go of my false negative thoughts and emotions to awaken to who I really am. So got to get over all the envy, hatred, attack thoughts, and everything else to become aware of my pure formless awareness of perfect love. Okay, next one. If you can read that. In this world,
I cannot even conceive of being which is the same as the state of pure formlessness.
pure formless awareness. Yeah.
Yes. awareness. Through my letting go, this state extends itself into my awareness. Awareness. Oh, okay. Never get to the end. Leading to happy dreams that are close to awakening. Awakening in which experience joy, which I experience joy.
Well, so what's he saying there?
Formlessness, that's myself, isn't it? Or self. Through letting go, the awareness extends itself into my awareness. So you become aware to happy dreams that are close to awakening, in which I experience joy. Joy, the awareness. Oh, gosh.
Yeah. So letting go leads to this awareness, and it leads to joy, very, very simply.
Yeah.
Letting go helps me perceive the unknown. Look, gently dispelling my fears. Letting go helps me perceive the unknown, gently dispelling my fears and making way for pure formless awareness of perfect love. Transforms how I perceive my body, leaving it as a mere teaching aid in my perception. Without the body, my mind cannot err or feel anger, cannot make mistakes. Or feel anger. And so letting go of my body identification can restore my peace and guide me back to my eternal innocence. Okay, so what's he saying there, Dawn?
So letting go helps restore, almost transforming back. It's almost like becoming a child again, where you're quite open and you don't have all those judgments and thoughts, and you're just kind of in quite a nice, happy place. You haven't got all the perceptions and all the judgment and all the other things that we have as we start sort of growing up.
And we let go of our belief that we're a body. So the body's just a teaching aid. We realize it's a vehicle and it's a useful learning device, but it's not our true identity. Okay. So next one, have you read that? This absence of anger.
This absence of anger is a consequence of my true self's vision. I recognize that there is no sacrifice or pain, but all is given by pure formless awareness of perfect love. My limited understanding and ego. Limited understanding and rage limit my perception, but my letting go will set me free. So the absence of anger is a consequence of my true self vision. So that's what you. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Hi, Dawn. Sorry, I'm back.
Mm-hmm. So the recording stopped.
There's just the screen share stopped because of, my internet briefly went out, so it disconnects. But fortunately, the recording carries on, and so does the YouTube live stream. Okay, so my limited understanding, anger limit my perception, but my letting go will set me free. So what's he saying in that one?
Formlessness of perfect love, limited understanding, anger, my perception, but my letting go will set me free. So, the absence of anger is a consequence of my true self vision. So, my true self vision is a consequence of the true, absence of anger. So you don't, well, most people don't want to be angry anyway. I recognize that no sacrifice or pain, but everything is given by pure formless awareness of perfect love. So rather than feel anger, you would prefer to, well, I don't know, I think I prefer to feel perfect love. My limited understanding and anger distort my perception. So when you are angry, your understanding is obviously not going to be the same, but what it does, it makes you, it's almost like that dream you were talking about. You're seeing the wrong thing, but by letting go, it frees you from the distortions. Actually,
Distortions. Yeah. Anger is a distortion of your true awareness, and anger makes us do horrible things. You know, if you're angry, you'll attack verbally, physically. You say things you don't really want to say. You regret later. You do things. You know, I remember listening once to a guy who'd murdered his wife and son, I think.
Oh wow!
And you could see the, you know, in a fit of rage, and he was just, you could just see it was like, you know, I'm just trying to forgive myself because I've done, you know, the worst possible thing one can imagine, and it was just in a moment of anger, and I'm still trying to come to terms with that.
Yeah.
You know, so you know, if you give into it, it can literally ruin your life in a moment. You do that, something like that, that's it. Your freedom's over. You spend the rest of your life in prison, and yeah, it's quite scary, really, because we're not, you know, if you can't control your anger, then that kind of thing can happen. I remember when I was awakening, I had this intense anger and rage, and I was, you know, in a family environment and just had a newborn baby. It was incredibly scary. I was like, I don't know if I can control myself. I actually need to be far away from people. I just want to go into a cave or a monastery or something and just, you know, just where I'm in a position where I'm, you know, I'm not tempted to get angry and potentially lash out and say things or, you know, physically do things to hurt people. But I mean, I just had to kind of, you know, I couldn't. It was like, yeah, I'm in a family environment and I have to learn my lessons here, which I did. Fortunately, you know, I didn't do anything. I mean, I wouldn't say I never said anything hurtful, but I didn't physically do anything hurtful, which took a lot of control, because when that anger and that rage is boiling away, it's not rational. It's not, you know, calm and rational at all. It's just gonna do insane things.
I don't know for other people, but I don't feel good when I'm angry. I don't like to be angry.
Right.
I really,
Well,
it don't make
you're
good.
yeah. obviously a very, very calm and maybe pretty enlightened person, but and a lot of people, anger's there, and it doesn't take very much to trigger that, and then the anger comes, and it's a complete distortion of their true perception, and can cause them to do some very ugly things. So it's something we need to really be aware of, and and let go of. So okay, I'm not going to give in to that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna might experience it, but I'm gonna let it go and breathe. There's many ways you can do it. Breathe, walk away, go do something else. Just
Just
okay, expressing anger.
something.
I'm gonna let it go. All right, so a couple more paragraphs. My letting go is the key to my rebirth as my true self and my ultimate freedom. But judging others keeps me a prisoner of my own mind, whereas letting go of my judgments releases them and sets me free. Therefore, each person who tempts me to get angry offers me a way out of my self-created prison. That's quite self-explanatory, but do you want to just say that in your own words? What's the key idea there?
Oh, I said it's rebirth as its true self, my ultimate freedom. But judging offers often so judging people keeps you a prisoner. It's almost like you were saying, that sword hanging over your head and stuff, or actually can turn you into that situation if it's a difficult situation. But where you, by letting it go, you actually just have that calmer, freer, happier state. But also, it's like what we were saying before, you were saying about being able to be grateful for the person for releasing whatever anger you had. You being able to look at where is that coming from and just eliminate it. So rather than be angry with them, be grateful that they've kind of given you the awareness that you had that within you.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm going to look at that. I think that's going to be.
So each person tempts you to get angry offers me a way out of my self-created prison. I mean, if you can see that, that's a massive shift in perception, and then you will interpret the situation correctly.
And I suppose, it might be saying, because I remember thinking one time, oh, this now is not the environment for what I would like or where I should be. So it means I've outgrown, and it's possibly that saying you've outgrown this or it's not quite right. So it is like an awareness, and maybe it is to be grateful because they've brought up that for you. They've sort of said, right, it's made you think about that rather than just keep, going the same way, and maybe you're not right for this situation or where you are, or a change is needed, basically.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about, it's all helpful in your journey if you see that. Okay, so last one, and then just a key message summary. So I'll read this, and then you read the key message, because that's kind of the overall summary of the whole thing, really. So therefore, I'm grateful, loving, and kind. To the extension of perfect love, I accept that the only way to experience my source's love and freedom is to fulfill my function of letting go. As I let go of my judgments of others, I accept them as part of my identity, recognizing that we are one in pure formless awareness of perfect love. So what's he saying there?
About gratitude, loving and kind. So it's saying what emotions you have as well, because you're loving and kind to the extent of perfect love. So you're then creating that perfect love within yourself. I accept only way to experience my source love and freedom. So it's like saying, by letting go, that those are the emotions that you're going to experience, and you're going to feel that freedom and the perfect love of judgments, and letting go of the judgments to others. I accept them as part of my identity, recognizing that we are one in pure, formless awareness of perfect love. Yeah, so recognize you are as they are too. You're all capable of doing it.
That's the point of forgiveness, is it unites you with others. Instead of seeing yourself separate, you see yourself as one and the same. Heals the separation.
Okay.
Okay, and then so just the key message, one paragraph, just read that to sum the whole thing up.
Key message. In this lesson, I hold on, let me make this bigger. I contemplate my connection to pure, formless awareness of perfect love, and explore the importance of letting go as the means of reconnecting with it. This process helps me transcend my negative awareness of the world and gives me a deeper, more experimental understanding of unity, freedom, and innocence.
That's the word is experiential. So that's actually in my own experience, deeper, more experiential understanding. So I understand through my own experience, not through what someone else has told me or book learning or some concepts. It's my own experience of the unity, freedom, innocence that the course points us to.
Freedom.
Okay, and this last sentence, by letting go.
By letting go of my judgments of others, I will inevitably experience and live through my true self. Yep. Okay. So let go and live through your true self.
Yeah, I will. I want to change that because I don't realize that I am one with them, and
Lovely.
I am one with them and live through as my true self. Okay, so just read that last sentence again because I've changed it.
Okay, so where am I from? Freeman. Oh, by letting go of my judgments of others, I will realize that I am one with them and live as my true self. Yeah, that sounds better.
Yeah. Live peacefully, maybe we can put that. Live peacefully as my true self. Live peacefully in this world. It's all about finding peace. So as soon as you have anger, it's conflict and it's not peaceful. So Very simple, just saying letting go is the key to understanding who you really are, experiencing who you are, and freeing yourself from imprisonment of your separate self and all the anger and negative thoughts and emotions that go along with it. And then you realize that you are one with others as well. You're not separate from them. There's no separation really in truth, which is a very profound lesson to learn. Okay, so yeah, any other thoughts, comments, or questions, Dawn? It's quite late, it's nearly 11:30, so shall we call it a night? Good session though. Thanks for joining and seeing us through to the end. Been a great session.
No, it's a lot of thought, thinking things to try and practice. But yeah, good.
Well, these are the this is a benefit of doing these live sessions, as you get to really go deep. Into these ideas and explore them, and something happens, something shifts. So I encourage you to carry on your membership and maybe join us every week. If you can upgrade, it's only £47 a month. You can join these sessions once a week. So think about it and let me know in the morning or sometime this week.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for joining though. It's been a great session, and Elaine was actually perfect because Elaine couldn't really participate for the last hour. She had family. Her husband's family came, so she couldn't really interact, and then she left at 9, so it would have been a very curtailed session if you hadn't joined. So all perfect. Really thank you for joining, and hope to see you again.
Okay,
we'll chat soon.
Take care.
Okay, namaste. Thanks.
Namaste. Good night.
Night. Bye for now.
Bye. My phone.
We're gonna leave. Shall I just end it?
Yeah, because it keeps getting sticking.
It's sticking on
it. Yeah, I can't move anything that's some.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's got too much stuff in it. It's jam.
Yeah, no problem. I'll just remove you. Okay. Thanks.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Come on. What's going on?
All right. So there's a wrap for today. Thank you. If you have followed the live stream or listened to the recording, it's been a long one, but I think really valuable. Some really good insights. We shared some nice stories, some anecdotes, and really a very simple but profound lesson that by letting go of your own judgment, your own anger, you set yourself free and you free others as well to be who they really are, which is the Christ or the true self. So if you'd like to dive further into that, then I invite you to subscribe to the channel, hit the subscribe button, and you'll get access to these live streams and recordings, which I do once a week. And you can also go to lifepool.com. You'll see that in the background, and sign up to receive a daily Telegram message. And that includes a daily quote that I showed at the beginning of this, similar to what I showed at the beginning of this video, some teaching around that, some of my own ideas, sometimes some other quotes, and then that supports the lesson from A Course in Miracles workbook, which explore. There's also access to these live sessions, so I send you invitations to join the live calls, and all of that's freely available at lifepool.com. So just type that into your browser or click the link below in the comments box in YouTube and sign up, and I hope to catch you on the inside of the group. and perhaps in one of these live sessions soon. So namaste. Thanks for watching and listening, and wishing you much love. Bye for now.